Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us as we are about to bring in Varla Ventura and our cryptid world. Yes, Varla is here tonight a week early, but she had plans next week, so we had to do it this time. Well, it's American Thanksgiving next week, so it's kind of a good excuse. I think so, at least. Let's say hello to each and every one of you tonight. We have SJ in the gold medal position, Tin Mothman in his goatee with a silver, Race Fan with a bronze medal tonight. Kitty Cattywack, how you doing? Little Cam over on X. Well, no, he's on YouTube tonight. Literally bench pressing 665 pounds, 87 times, just to warm up for Varla tonight. His arms are jacked. Brown Dwarf, Frankie B, the attorney at large, Michael Morris, thank you for coming on in. Laura Lobbs, Desert Rat. Mama Catherine, mwah, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful night. And who else is here? Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, thank you for coming on in. Paul Demon, how you doing? Luscious Jules is back. Luscious Jules will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Mr. Caldy is back. Mr. Caldy will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want that rigidness. No, you don't. Road Flare, how you doing? And Kitty Cattywack again. Who else do we have here? Woo Am I? Millennium, my man. Cosmic Joe, how you doing? And thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you very, very much. Vanessa, Eternity Eternal, how you guys doing? Good morning, Commonwealth Andrew. What up? Little Timmy James, how you doing, buddy? Hope you're feeling better tonight, buddy. Kimberly Burgess, thanks for joining us. Operation Shutdown, Necessary Dialogue. Mama Susan, Jennifer Beveridge, good to see you all. Lenda, how are you? Second night in a row for our resident debunker. How are you? Richard Minnick, thank you for coming on in. Laura Lobbs, I think I said you earlier, but I'll say it again. Laura Lobbs, there we go. Al Garay over on Twitch. He did 1,600 pull-ups in the last 4 hours, all to prepare for Varla, because he wants to hear her talk about monsters. And he's a monster at the gym. Yes, he is. Dragonfly, how you doing? And who else do we have here in the studio? Dave Tiger Williams, how you doing, buddy? Warden Dragon, Yennefer with a soft J, and Chris. Teen, how you doing? All right. Easy Rider, welcome to SOR Chat. Vaughn Patrick, how are you, my friend? May 1st to 4th in Vegas, Vaughn. You better be there. May 1st to 4th. We're going. Gerard Gonzalez from Houston, Texas. You know what? Just for you, Gerard, I'm going to wear my Texas hat tonight. Just for you. Welcome to SOR Chat. Scott Rosen, how you doing? Jennifer Beveridge, thank you for that awesome super chat. Very much appreciate your love and support of SOR. So thank you, Jennifer. I got a new pen so I can actually read it now. And Driftwood, long time, no time, man. Deborah Rooney, how are you? And who else do we have? Scott's Life, thanks for joining us. And Debster with a nice super chat. Thank you, Deborah Rooney. All right, let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Varla Ventura is on deck for another great edition of our cryptid world. Because we love Varla around here. We do. I don't know if she loves us much anymore, but we still love her. I'd shake her hand. Let's get back to roll call. Cookie, welcome to SOR chat. Latchkey, nice to see you. And Vaughn, you know what, Vaughn? Hit me up on the break about that, okay? Put it in capital letters and hit me up on the break. I'll tell you what's going on. And I don't know. Jessica McCreary with the gorgeous hair is here. And Eriko, how are you? All right, let's get going. Horns up. Of Central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair in SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. I know you're out there somewhere. We got a great show coming at you tonight. Varla Ventura is going to be here momentarily for another edition of our Cryptid World. We love it when Varla is here. Then in hour number 3, this is where we get really busy. We're going to have Swamp Dweller. Little Timmy James is going to be here with the UFO report. Our good friend, me, Dave Scott, that's me. I'm a good friend of the show. So our good friend Dave Scott will have the Dave 101. And then the news is here. The weird news of the week. Our good friend Varla Ventura is back again for our Cryptid World, where Varla comes in and talks about the deep, darker side of all things paranormal, supernatural, and strange. Cryptid encounters where people claim to have seen vampires, witches, Pookas, Banshees, and everything that is not talked about in the Bigfoot and Dogman world. Varla is someone who loves the paranormal. She loves the strange. She loves everything about what we talk about on this show, and this is why we bring her in each and every night. You can find any of her books at any major bookstore as well. You can also check her out each and every month right here or on varlaventura.net. Varla, thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio, my friend.
Oh, I'm back. Hi. Let's see. Am I all good? Sound is fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, it's perfect. Perfect.
I have to explain something. And Varla, I'm glad you're here because you're like a crutch for me sometimes.
Oh, I'm honored.
You know, the one thing that I hate about being a radio show host, and I know it comes with the territory, is criticism. It's one thing to critique, but when someone tries to chew your butt off for no reason, it hits me. It does. Sometimes it just hits me. You have to have a strong, thick skin, as you do as an author as well. I mean, you've seen criticism as well.
Oh, yes. It does come with the territory.
I want to read something to our audience because I'm a little bothered by this. Okay. And I probably shouldn't. I'm not going to mention the moron's name. So last night, when we signed off the radio show and we continued on YouTube, one of our guests, Grandizer, was asking about just, you know, the poor guys, like, every podcast, it seems like it's the same guests with the same topics, the same questions. It's always about UFOs. It's always about Bigfoot or Dogman or Ghost. There's no imagination. And I kind of agree with that. It's hard, though, because you have to balance the subjects with the ones that actually have ratings.
Yes.
And I hate to say that. So this one person on YouTube who loves to take pot shots at me, loves it. And usually I could take it. I was talking about subscribership and how hard it is right now. He goes, Chris Lato, former fighter pilot, has 100,000 viewers in a fraction of the time spaced out time has been out. Dave, stop blaming the audience and algorithms. It's because of the friends that you keep bringing back, such as R. Keith Andrews, whose own channel has like 50 subs. Also, maybe it's the host. It's funny, though, I remember him losing his mind once because someone called his show Stories, but here we are. The look to us for stories. On the UFO stuff, you don't know anything new. So you just seem to microanalyze the smallest bowel movements, and a lot of it's just Dave's opinion. Well, it is my show. The best thing you had was Tim's version of the UFO report, and it just went downhill into the stuff of UFO politics and manifesting things to talk about. So here's this person not only taking pot shots at my friends, but the people we bring on. And I got to tell you, everybody thinks what we do is easy. It's not easy. You know that as a guest. You know that it's hard. I mean, you went on another show a few weeks ago, and you were getting absolutely threatened and chastised because somebody asked you on their show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this what it's coming down to, where we got to make moronic, cheap shot, keyboard warrior type of shots in order to hurt someone's feelings?
I mean, I've dealt with it for years, as I know you have, and it's always easy to say, like, have a thick skin. You can have a thick skin and it still hurts your feelings. You just, move on. But I just sort of stopped and thought, what is this person really trying to get out of the situation? They're trying to control they're trying to control something that is not theirs to control. So I really think that's kind of what it comes down to. It's people who feel powerless and small have to feel bigger and try and control things that they think they can control in a safe way without putting themselves really in harm's way. And so, on the compassionate note, you can just sort of feel bad for them because, they're not satisfied enough with what they have going on. Now, there's plenty of things I could criticize constantly about shows I'm on, other authors, but I don't, because I do know that it's hard. And I don't really think it's helpful, constructive criticism. Like, tell you what, if I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. Right? And
I don't even know if I told you this, but I had a longtime listener. And that same comment literally say F you to me, like typed it out. I erased the comment because of that, because I don't need that.
Yeah, because you don't want an expletive on there, because then you can
Exactly.
get in trouble for that.
And look, it's not that I can't take criticism. Just like when you put yourself out there in the market, there are lots of people who love me and there's a lot of people who hate me. I'm okay with that. I really don't care. But it's when you get personal and start attacking people who are around me. That's what I don't like. You know what I'm saying? It's just
I
like
do.
Varla, like when you were telling me your situation, when you were texting me a couple weeks ago when this incident happened with you.
Yeah, I had people trying to private message me, trying to text me, trying to like get a hold of me in all of these ways that they can't get a hold of me. Um, Basically harassing me, telling me I was a terrible person for choosing to go on the show before I had even gone on the show. This was happening, and not only that, but I've been on this show multiple times before. And I guarantee you, the person who was on the night before me did not get that level of harassment. And I just, I was just like, well, obviously I'm going on anyway. Like, please, you just made me want to go on more. But yeah, it's just irritating, really.
Oh, and you know
But
what
it
the
does
fun?
hurt you because you are, you're trying to put out like whatever information you're trying to share, and people can also just keep, they can turn it off, they can scroll on by, they can, um yeah, I don't know. I'll take criticism
Yeah,
if it's about something that I actually have done,
yes.
but I certainly won't take harassment about something that I didn't even do.
Well, and you know what's funny is I found myself getting very defensive for you. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I know
Because
you did, and I appreciate that.
that's the old
And so
hockey.
did Filth. He also was like, yeah. And some other of your listeners, they probably all know what we're talking about now. And
You know,
I went on the show, and it was a great night.
yeah, I get very defensive when somebody picks on our Keith Andrews. You know what's funny is all
Yeah.
the people who pick on him, they have no understanding that he is one of our highest rated shows each and
Yeah.
every month.
Well, this is what an old boss of mine used to say. Should we believe what they say or what they do? Because we would get complaints about articles that we published and all this stuff. But when you looked at the stats, it showed the traffic to those sites. You could see exactly what people are clicking on. I mean, there's what you track your website. And she would always say, okay, do we believe what they say? Because they're saying that's what they want or what they don't want. But what they're actually clicking on is something entirely different, and often things that we were criticized for. So proof is in the numbers, I guess.
It just amazes me how because people these days are so politically charged, and I don't give a care what side of the ledger you're on. I really don't. I'm Canadian.
Yeah,
I
you're
have
Canadian.
in the game in the US. But one thing that bugs me and where I get extremely defensive is, yeah, yes, our Keith Andrews is far out there, man. He is far out there. But I can tell you this, there's not a nicer human being on this planet. Number one. And number two, that man has been bullied his entire life. And it's funny because the most critics I have in this field always bring his name up because he's an easy target. And this isn't the way I wanted to start tonight's show, especially for our radio audience who's probably like, get on with it. Get on with it all. And we will, I promise you, in just a couple of seconds. But it's my show, and sometimes I want to get things off my chest. And Varla is a very good friend who I can bounce things off of. But I don't care how tough or weak you are or what a keyboard warrior you are. When you have to pick on people in order to make your point, you're a moron. You're a complete moron. And I don't care if it's another host, it's a researcher, or it's somebody you don't believe. So you don't believe, so you're going to pick on them. Think about what that person has gone through their entire life. He's been bullied. He's 61 years old, and he's been bullied almost every day of his life because people think he's weird and strange. And yet I know people in the UFO community who've listened to him, And I'm talking names that are in high-end research, who will say, how does he know that?
Mm.
If he doesn't study up on anything, how does he know that? He shouldn't know that. Right? So it's kind of interesting. But I'm going to move on here because I do want to get more into the fun side of things. That's why we
Wait,
are
I just want to add something. I think I know that there are people have like lines that things they don't believe and things that they do believe, and it often has to do with what they've experienced, or how curious they are. You could take ghost stories, for example, like that's a more widely experienced phenomenon. So people become more interested in that, and then they want to kind of hear other stories. But as someone who has written an entire book about mermaids, I learned a long time ago, you can't really draw a line in the sand between like the supernatural and the off planet. You can have your own judgments of whether or not you believe what a person is saying, but we're talking about an existential world out there, right? We're talking about something that is for the most part invisible most of the time, and we get little glimpses of it, and none of us really know. We're all just speculating and talking about it and getting each other's opinions and learning and having experiences. So to come in and say this person doesn't know what they're talking about, but this person does, it's like, what, your credibility is a degree? I mean, a degree doesn't get you an experience. It doesn't, so as someone who is definitely on the supernaturalist, I get a lot of weird looks. I found it harder and harder to try and really. I can give you my opinions on what I think things are, but it's pretty hard to differentiate and say like, oh, that guy's making that up. How do you, so I find it very interesting when people try and critique someone. I don't know. It's just a funny line to draw, in my opinion. So, yeah.
I appreciate that. And your opinion means a lot to me, actually, when it comes to that, because, what, we got 7 minutes left. Let's talk about this. Let's educate our audience here for a second. As a guest, how do you choose how to go on a show? You get asked quite a bit to go on. You're very popular in the field. And I know that everybody that I know who has a podcast has always reached out to you to go on there, because we've brought you on so many times that your name is well established on
I've been doing radio for more than 10 years now. Radio, podcasts, video is kind of the newer thing. So how do I discern what to be on?
How do you choose, though, with so many popping up these days? I mean, they're popping up faster than fish out of water right now.
I mean, it kind of depends on what's being asked. How, the timing of it. When I mean, everybody thinks like, oh, like people go on the late night shows. Those actors and actresses that go on like the late night shows, they have something to promote. We're not necessarily promoting anything, right? We're just here like kind of promoting ourselves, but like I have a new book coming out next year, but I think I just sort of judge it on my schedule, which can get very hectic certain times of year, what the ask is, and honestly, what the host and audience are like. I'll try almost anything once, and and then I'll decide if I want to go back. But I it's a small community, the sort of like, I'll just call it the paranormal podcasting community. I feel like that's a little bit too much of an umbrella term. But it just kind of depends on, am I being, what's being asked of me, and who's asking it and how they ask, how someone asks is pretty significant. And then I have I have my faithfuls, right? I've got you, I've got George Norrie. I've got several shows that I go back on every year. I always do a show with Solaris Blue Raven every Halloween. appear on Heather Wade's show whenever I'm able, and she invites me. So I have like a few regulars that I've gone on over the years, and those are always, it's a pleasure because it's like talking to an old friend. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, do I look at numbers and algorithms and all that stuff? I mean, I probably should. I probably should be like, oh, this person only has like 50 followers, but I don't have very many followers, and that's not my core. Like, I'm not doing brand promotion. I'm not trying to have like partnerships or be an influencer. I'm a writer, and I kind of suck at social media, and I'm trying to get better at it just so more people know about my work and the work of people that I admire. But I like to socialize in like real time a little bit more. I cannot hear you.
You realize that this is your way of getting your name out there. I mean, you are promoting who you are, the great work and the hard work that you do in your research and your fantastic collection of books that you have out there, and your knowledge and your entertainment that value that you bring. That's why our audience loves you each and every month. I see the numbers. I know what you do. You're great. People love you.
Well, thank you. You have a particularly lovely audience, generally, right? A couple of exceptions, apparently. Oh, yeah. But, I think also it's changed a lot. So, like when my first book came out, if you went on Coast to Coast, your book shot up to #1 on Amazon. Like, that was like crazy. Now, because people aren't listening live as much, you don't see those big numbers, you don't see those big spikes, and it's really just sort of a more of a holistic endeavor where you're hoping to sell enough books that you can actually make a living. I mean, that I don't make a living only on my books. I write for a lot of different places, and I do some fancy copywriting for a couple catalogs and stuff like that to pay the mortgage. I'd love to just be writing supernatural research or, magical plant books, but it just doesn't, it's just not a genre that, it's not crime thriller. It's not a genre that really sells off the chart. So there's other ways that, like freelance life, you're just kind of like scrambling and, we're doing 10 things at once. But it's very different than like 10 years ago when you would do a show, it would make a big difference. And now it's just sort of, like I said, it's more of a holistic thing where, I mean, honestly, like I come on your show because I enjoy talking to you. Your audience has intelligent questions. I've met many of them. It's really more of a community, and it's nice to just be part of that community. And then like I was just on a wonderful podcast with these two women. I think it's called Monsters Lounge podcast. And they were just absolutely charming. It was it was a fairly short show, but it was just really fun to talk to them. And that, that's just a delightful thing. And I like to listen to a lot of different people and interviews and podcasts. So I like the variety myself on a show like yours, where, you might tune in a little bit, listen to one person's opinion, and then, you get that like somebody different each night. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely changed a lot, and there is a lot of emphasis on numbers. But I haven't seen those numbers translate into numbers in my bank account. So I'm not exactly putting a lot of stock in them at this point. I mean, money isn't everything, but you gotta pay your bills. So
Oh, very true. The bills need to be paid. That is very, very true.
You need your Vegas money, right?
Well, we're going back to Vegas. I cannot wait. We are going back to Vegas, and we are going to have one heck of a good time. May 1st to 4th. We're literally inviting all of our audience members to come join us that weekend. So it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's not a fan party. It's just a hangout session. Let's have a drink, talk some weird stuff, and maybe drive out to Rachel, Nevada to see the mountains where Area 51 lays behind. Varla Ventura, when we return on Spaced Out Radio, I promise you we're going to get into some monsters, cryptids, legends. We're going to see where it goes. Right here on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. Von Patrick, that's way too kind. The double shot like that, man. Says this person knows nothing about the person's experience. When you meet Dave, Keith, and the others in person, you'll understand how real and passionate they are about the work they do. They're the best of the best humans. Thank you. Thank you. And then, yeah. Oh, it was a double shot of the same comment. Did you mean to do that, Vaughn? Do I owe you $20 back? D Cypher, how you doing?
Well, that's nice. That is a nice comment. I feel you though, Dave. I know it's easy to say, whatever. Those guys are jerks. But it's, at least in the moment, you certainly feel it. It always feels good to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
I just always go into fight mode, and I don't love being in fight mode, but sometimes you got to be in fight mode. And then I'm just like, don't respond. Yes. My cousin told me she's got a notepad on her desk, and she's got a couple of like frenemies at work, and she's a notepad on her desk and it says, don't say a word. And I thought she just meant she leaves a note for herself as a reminder. And she sent me a picture of it, and it's actually like she had it made. It says, don't say a word on top. You can just like write your feelings and not, tell your boss off.
Quickly here. Jessica S. Hey, how are you? Rocket Rory, nice to see you. Let's see who else. Scott Rosen. Okay, so this is the plan, guys. And I just realized this last night. Hi, Double Day. How are you? I just realized this last night. Tokeland, good to see you. I just realized this last night. Because I got to stop and then say hi to somebody because my ADD literally makes me do that, even though I don't have ADD. The weekend, so Merle and I had planned to go to Vegas on May 1st to 4th. We're not doing a fan party. We're just going to play. We're going to find something paranormal to do, and we want to rent a car and go out to Area 51. So then I had Robin Haynes on 2 nights ago and realized that the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference is the weekend before. So I'm going to the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference because I'm speaking there. And then I'm flying straight to Vegas. There's no point in coming home, driving 6 hours from Vancouver through traffic and everything to go back 2 days later. So I'm just going to do it all. Rugged Source, how you doing? So if you want to come to Nebraska, home of the tornadoes and Bigfoot, come join me there. And then from there, we're going to head on over to Vegas. Don't know what we're going to do there for like a week.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
It's a long time in Vegas. It's a long time to not sleep.
I know. But the good part is I got family there. I could go hang out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Your brother? No, your cousin.
Yeah, my cousin who looks like Bob Vila. Right. So I'll probably go hang out there for a week. Tim James, if you're coming, there's room, buddy. There's room. I don't know where we're staying in Vegas yet. Merle and I haven't decided that. Baywatcher, how you doing? And so if all of you want to come, just come. We'll give you an itinerary, what's going. We'll let you know where we're staying and where we're going to hang out.
I think there's a new monster museum there.
I think
It's
so.
like Universal Monsters, and they've got like a replica of like Boris Karloff's Frankenstein. Like it's all this, it's a whole museum. It's really new. I was following it on Instagram because it was a picture of Frankenstein's monster. So follow.
Yeah.
Frankenstein is my favorite color.
Going to Vegas, Varla. You got to come.
Okay. I got to look at my calendar now that I know the dates.
Yeah. All right. Big thank you so far. Cosmic Joe, Jennifer, Deborah Rooney, Mel WD40, Area 53, and Vaughn Patrick ×2. So, Vaughn, make sure you get those dates on your calendar, and the rest of you as well, May 1st to 4th. And come meet Merle and I in Vegas. Or earlier. Here we go. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us as we bring in Varla Ventura to hang on out and be a part of tonight's entertainment. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our favorite cryptid author, Varla Ventura, is here for another great show of our cryptid world. And Varla's website, varlaventura.net. She's a .netter. We don't hold it against her, but we love her around here. Varla, how you doing?
I'm good. You were just talking about Vegas, and I was thinking about like bucket list places that, you know, I want to go. And I was just kind of glancing, and I have this whole section in the Paranormal Parlor book about like haunted hotels, most of which I've stayed at, but some of which I hadn't. And when I wrote it, at the time, the place was under renovation. And some people may have this on their radar, but it's called the Baker Hotel in Mineral Wells, Texas. And it's I think it was built originally in like, I guess I could check the book. It was built in the 20s, 1929. And it was built, there was like there's beautiful mineral springs there. And so it was thought to be this place where you could go, and there's healing waters, and it was a really, beautiful resort. So people came there with all manner of ailments, and there were a number of deaths there. It's supposed to be one of the most haunted hotels, and then it was completely abandoned, I think in like the 70s, I guess. Again, could check the book. Yeah, it closed in 1972. And anyway, so when I was writing this book, at the time that I was writing it, a hotel group had purchased it, and they were undergoing renovations, and they were kind of like showing pictures of it, and it's, peeling wallpaper. It's been closed since the 70s. I think Ghost Adventures has been there doing investigations. And so I was just looking on the break to see if you can book a room there yet, or if it's still under renovation. And as far as I can tell, didn't get all the way there. It looks like it's still under renovation, which I suspect just is, costing an absolute fortune. I mean, it's, 50-floor hotel that has been closed for all those years, and, just hold up with ghosts and vagrants. But anyway, when it's restored, I think that should be a destination. The Baker Hotel. Just book out a whole floor. Floor 13, please. And it totally looks like, like Hotel Transylvania or some kind of like haunted hotel right out of a movie or a cartoon. Just like absolutely quintessential deco style, very tall. I don't know if you have any listeners that you're wearing your Texas hat. So I don't know if you have any listeners that know of this place or have been there, but that's a place that's very high on my bucket list.
If I were to go anywhere to investigate haunting wise, paranormal wise, I don't think I would go to the popular places. As cool as it would be to go to Gettysburg or Alcatraz, and trust me, I'm a history buff and I
Uh-huh.
love things like that. I would like to find some small town that
Mm.
just has some real weird legends and go looking for the fortune slash misfortune of the paranormal supernatural there. To me, that's exciting when you can go to this real dark old town that, the buildings have been the same for the last 80, 90 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just picturesque. That's
hmm
what I love about it.
Yeah, I think also, like you mentioned Gettysburg, but there are also all these other places all along the East Coast there where there were huge, battles and many lives lost. And I went to, I can't even remember the name of the town, but I went to some town. It was far, it was a little ways outside of Nashville, and had a weird thing happen where I kind of walked out into this path. There was like a visitor's center, and I walked out into this path, and I just, that like that feeling that you feel like you're underwater or something. You like get all this pressure, like you can almost feel like pressure on your nasal passages, pressure on the top of your head, and like this kind of like strong feeling. And then, along comes the lady and says, "Oh, you're standing where, 5,000 soldiers died." I was like, "Oh, okay, that explains the feeling." But that was a really cool town that was off the radar like that, and not part of a tour necessarily, and people weren't stopping for paranormal investigations necessarily, right? They just, in fact, they were just there to, like, I don't know, look at there was a cabin that had been just riddled with bullets, and it was kind of a crazy thing to see. But I agree, there's so many sort of out of the way places, but nonetheless, if you offered me a night in the Stanley Hotel, I would so be there. That's also on my bucket list. I'm like, okay, I just got to do that at least once. Got to do it in the off season.
I think for me, if I was going in Canada again, I would probably. There's a real small town in Saskatchewan that at night they say the ghost train comes through their town.
Ooh.
Yeah. And let me see if I can bring this up here. Let me see. Ghost train, Saskatchewan. So the St. Louis Lights is what it's called.
Mm.
Okay. So in St. Louis, Saskatchewan, population about less than 500. Okay. There are train tracks north of the village that were removed years ago, like decades ago. However, the mysterious ghost train lighting the path still rolls the tracks that used to stand there. And this happens often. A gentleman named Edward Lucier, who's a citizen of the town, claims to have seen the lights 50 to 60 times. And it's just something that they do. They go out, they bring some drinks, and they go watch the ghost train come in.
That sounds
It's
amazing.
so here's the legend. Here's the legend. It dates back to the 1920s. It said a Canadian National Railway conductor was out examining the train tracks one night when he was decapitated by a train. Locals now claim to see a mysterious white light and sometimes even a light that shines red. Now, according to Lucier, it was very prominent, the light coming through the bush. It was so obvious what it was. It actually did look like a train. It was weird. The
Mm.
light would come out and it would reach the bush line and it would fade away. Now, apparently, people, especially teenagers, have tried to run up and grab the light to catch it. Like it always seems to be moving closer to you.
Mm.
But if you chase it down and you run towards it, the light always is never reachable.
Right. It's always just out of reach.
What do you think that is?
It's obviously a ghost train.
No.
Wait, I think it's interesting that you said the person's last name that has seen it so many times is sort of a derivation of the word light, right? Wasn't the person's last name like Lucian?
Lussier, Lussier.
Lucier. Well, I don't know. I mean, people have speculated like about the Marfa lights for years and what they are. I mean, back in the day, people called things like that. You know, you had the will-o'-the-wisp that were like, some people say they were bioluminescent things happening, like in the swamp, there'd be bioluminescence or there'd be fireflies, and people were calling them that. But other people have described the will-o'-the-wisp as like glowing lights or orbs or very sort of like ephemeral but glowing mists. And that just manifests out of nowhere and you can never touch it and then it disappears. So it could be anything. I mean, if I were a train conductor and I had been decapitated by a train, which seems a little like, how? If you're, must not have been, I mean, maybe he was drunk or something, but like, how did you not feel the vibrations? You're a train conductor, you know how fast trains are going. But I mean, it was an accident. Was it an accident? Like a terrible wreck?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's go with terrible wreck. You're decapitated. I would just keep riding that train, be like stuck in a loop, you know, like you're going around a Christmas tree, around and around. Dave, you would love the town that I grew up in because it's very picturesque and there's lots of ghosts, but it's not really a ghost hunty place. But there's all kinds of like hidden tunnels underneath where people used to smuggle, you know, liquor and women and drugs and all kinds of fun stuff from like, you know, one hotel to another. And, you know, there was a secret passage to the brothel down the way and all kinds of good stuff like that. But there is a number of places where it's kind of a tourist town. It's on your way up to Tahoe. So a number of places where people have stopped and, you know, they go and there's a museum in particular that's very haunted. And there's like, again, you get that like kind of strange pressured feeling. And I always love when you go into places like that, talking with the docents, right? Because the docents are the like unpaid volunteers that are there out of the goodness of their heart. And they're there for long, quiet, slow hours. And they know everything and they hear everything and they see everything. So it's always interesting.
I think that's great. I love stories like that, but it's the small town legends that don't get the attraction that they would. Do you think it's because communities that are, say, in smaller rural areas, maybe off in the mountains or way off of the highway, like 20, 30, 40, 50 miles on the plains, that they just want to keep their town snug and small and they don't want these legends to come out? And I'll give you an example of this. My town is very much like that. Everybody knows it's haunted because it was right along the Gold Rush Trail. Nobody talks about that, though. And the other thing, too, in 1989, there was a big popular alien abduction that happened on one of the hills heading out of town on the highway. And people around here are very, very weirded out to talk about it. Like they're like, yeah, you know, we just, I've talked to one person who said, this was years ago, who said, yeah, we don't want that image for our community.
Yeah, I mean, that's sure. I would say that that is not the number one thing on the, you know, tourist website for Nevada City, California, where I grew up. It doesn't say haunted, but everybody who lives there knows like this place is haunted, that place is haunted. There's where the tunnel is. That's where you can get in the tunnel. Here's the cemetery that's haunted, you know, all of those kinds of things. But it's not advertised as haunted. And they do a ghost tour now around Halloween, right? I wouldn't say they're like closed-minded to it because there's a lot of like interesting people in that area, but it's definitely like not its number one thing. But I always thought, man, if I ever had like a hotel, I would like plant on the internet that it's haunted, just to attract the right kind of business, because I feel like I would want all the ghost hunters. It's interesting because I think there is an element of industry to it. I'm kidding, of course, I wouldn't do that, but I would want to attract all the ghosty people. I think like there's a certain industry around it where, like, okay, there's a town not that far from here. Jesus, what is it called? I think it's called Sioux Center or something like that. And there's a totally well-known haunted hotel there. It's one of the most haunted places in Minnesota, and often makes the list of like the most haunted places in the US, right? Which, there's a question for you, like, one, who's making those lists, and the lists are based on the number of people that are talking about experiences that they've had. But as you and I and all of your audience knows, sometimes you can go somewhere that's supposedly haunted and have nothing happen, and then you go to an Airbnb in the middle of nowhere and you hear ghost footsteps in the attic, which totally happened to me. So, in a town that's not known to be haunted. So, I think it's whether or not the community has embraced it and is willing to embrace it as a source of income, right? Like, can you imagine living in Salem and not wanting to talk about witches? Right. There's lots of people that live there that aren't witches, but if you don't work with and embrace the witch history there, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, because that's a huge part of the history and a major part of the economic stability there. You got from July through December, just packed. Everything's packed. The stores are going wild. It's a whole industry. So I guess it just depends. But yeah, I do think there's like a little bit of a protective element. Like, we don't need you to come in here or whatever. We don't want your kind here.
Yeah.
Somewhat. I mean, I don't know. I also think that for some people, it's just sort of like, yeah, that place is haunted. So what? Like, we still have to go to work and do this and do that. And then, other people, it's a lifestyle. It is our work. So,
what is dangling on you? Like, it's shaking.
Is something hitting?
What are you wearing?
I have a necklace on. Is it hitting my mic?
I don't think it's that. Maybe it is. It's like when you're moving your hands, there's like shaking going on. There.
I'll take my neck. I'll take the necklace off. It's probably the necklace. I don't usually wear jewelry when I'm doing mic stuff.
Look pretty for us. Just admit it.
I just forgot to take it off. Yeah, I was looking pretty for you. That's it. All right. Well, give me a sec here, and I'll take it off.
You're trying to figure out what that sound was for a while. There it is, Varla Ventura.
Okay.
We should play some Barry White music while we're doing that.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, not that exciting. I just removed a necklace and I'm wearing a turtleneck, so not exactly Vegas material here.
Mm-hmm. Trust me, we've seen Varla in Vegas. It's still Salt Lake City.
We don't need to talk about that. That was fun.
What is your favorite small town story that you have heard?
Well, my favorite small town in the whole world, probably. Well, there's so many I haven't been to, so it's hard to say this definitively. But at present moment, not terribly far from where I grew up, is this old ghost town. And it was totally one of those towns that was just booming during the gold rush. And now it's completely abandoned. Like, it's literally a ghost town, like almost like 2 of the houses are occupied and everything else has become a museum. And it's a state park actually now. And my favorite, and there's a beautiful cemetery. My sister lives pretty close to this park. So I love to go to that cemetery and walk around and, see what's new, see what's old, see how much the trees have grown over time. And it's this also really interesting part of the landscape that was I don't know if you guys ever had hydraulic mining up there, but it was basically this thing for a while in California where they would just take a giant water cannon and blast away the mountain. And it just caused huge problems. All of the silt went down into and muddied the rivers, and all of the like arsenic and all of this stuff, all the mining tailings basically all ended up in the Sacramento Valley, which is California's breadbasket. So you don't want to be like flooding the agricultural fields. And this was, even in the mid 1800s, this was already known for being like this rich, fertile valley. So anyway, there's a giant canyon next to this cemetery that's just like a man-made canyon. The mountain is just blasted away. And there's all kinds of creepy stories about that area. So, and there's a couple of other little towns like that as well. And so one of the stories that I love is just of this house that is in the middle of in the little village there. And it's reputed to be haunted, but like people have just, everyone's like once a year, they open all the buildings up and you can go in them. And so people over the years, or the last 40 years or whatever, have reported having, hearing something or seeing a child or something like that. And there's this wonderful story in the local paper about the new ranger who had moved into the state park, into the ranger's cabin. And he was walking around looking at the historic houses. He wasn't really from that area. And so he said he was taking pictures of these like lace curtains in the window, and to show his wife, because he wanted their cabin to kind of look authentic. And in the photo, he caught like this pretty distinct silhouette, and it's just it's not his reflection. They published it in the paper. It made the news, and I loved that it made the news. It was just this great thing. And they interviewed the ranger, and he was like, and he's very like scientific man, not necessarily there for the ghosts, right? He's there to protect the park, but he could not deny that there was something going on there. And there's just several like very like creepy corners of that park. Like there's this one cabin that I went in once and I will never go in again. Like something very horrible happened in that cabin, and I don't want to know what it was, and I don't want to know anything else about it. Like that just kind of like totally sickening feeling where you're just like, yeah, I'm out of here. So, and then a little further up the hill is this other town where the cemetery, they buried their dead on the hill, and the cemetery, like basically it all like washed down. Like they buried it on the hill, and there were mines all over the place. So there wasn't a lot of like thoughtful engineering going on at the time, because it was a gold rush. Like you could hit it big, and everyone is like, what I do on my claim is up to me. Right. So there wasn't a ton of coordinating. And then the big mining companies were just driving it. Right. They're just like cracking the whip, keep digging, keep going. So anyway, basically the mountain collapsed. The cemetery came, like, caskets came sort of skittering down onto the main street. And that's, yeah, I mean, that there's not much more to the story other than that. Several of them sort of just like popped open, and fell into the river below. It was I just love stories like that, though. It's just like so random and grotesque. Yeah.
Right. Right. I mean, it's just weird how these legends float around from all of these little small towns, whether it's wailing children or screams coming from the forest.
Or like all the crybaby bridges in Ohio.
Right. Or or here's one that I don't get. Why does every major city, have the lady in white?
Great question. I think it has. So some of the Banshee stories, there's this like wonderful book all about that Elliot O'Donnell wrote in the late 1800s, and it's all about banshees. It's all about the Irish banshee and her counterparts along the world. And he talks about, like, in Italy in particular, but also in parts of France, instead of a banshee, they have a woman in white that appears, and it's basically a female ghost.
Hold that thought. Let's get. Why does every city have the lady in white? It's weird. I thought it was just a Vancouver thing until a couple of Halloweens ago. I started looking around, and like Chicago has one, St. Louis has one, LA has one. Every town seems to have a lady in white ghost who appears in your car, gets you to drive her somewhere, and then disappears inside your car. Varla Ventura will not disappear. We got her for hour 2. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Varla, I'm going to put you in the green room, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Sounds great. Yeah, good time for a break.
All right, I am back. We got about 90 seconds. All right, let's see here. Oh, there's Varla. We'll bring her in. Got a bunch of questions already for you. I think tonight will be a question night.
Question nights are good.
Yeah. Right after we get through the Lady in White stories, we will get to some audience questions. So make sure you put your questions in capital letters, if you don't mind, please, and thank you, because it's easier for me to read. Hi, Flat Six. How you doing? Zaya Bonanza, welcome back. Kimberly Burgess, I did not know there were tunnels under 100 Mile.
Ooh.
Was that due to the emissaries? Let me know. I'm curious about that. If there is, I want to investigate them. I want to find them. Big thank you tonight to Richard, Vaughn ×2, Area 53, Mel WD40, Deborah Rooney, Jennifer, and Joe for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate your love and support. And don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so check it on out. Here we go. Here comes hour number 2 of tonight's Our Cryptid World with Varla Ventura. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Sacramentarianism. What is that? Sacramentarianism. There we go. Sacramentarianism is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head over to Varla Ventura. VarlaVentura.net is her website, so make sure you check it on out as we bring in a lot of really cool stories, like the one about how every major town seems to have a lady in white ghost. Varla, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've looked at this.
Well, every town seems to have a lady in white. I don't know if it's the same story for all of them. Because like the lady in white in San Francisco is a little bit of a different story than what you were talking about, where someone follows you home and rides in your car, or, the lady in white in San Francisco is like this ghostly white woman that appears near Stowe Lake. And it's said to be a woman whose like child went missing and then she drowned herself in the lake, and she's wandering around the park looking for her baby. And people have like been joyriding through that park and seen this entity with, arms outstretched, trying to stop them, and they're, in the middle of the road. So that's probably the most famous ghost in San Francisco is the lady in white.
Vancouver has one as well. And every Halloween, they tell the story of the lady in white, how people have apparently seen her on a bunch of different roads where she's hitchhiking. And it's usually raining, and they pick her up and they start a conversation just like you and I are having. And then she'll say, "Hey, can you speed up a little bit?" or something along those lines. And when they start to talk to her again, she vanishes. She's vanished. She's gone.
She's just gone. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the wayward hitchhiker stories are always kind of freaky like that as well. Like the spotting something along the road and you find out that it's there's countless ghost tales like that, right? Where it's like, turns out it's you drop the nice young man off at the house along the lane, and then turns out that it was the anniversary of his death and he had died 10 years before, things like that. I mean, some of those, the great thing about ghost stories, I think, is that they're they're repeated and they're retold, and sometimes they're embellished in one way and they're embellished in another way. These kind of traditional stories, right? Like, I think there's endless one-off encounters that people have. You got those great collections, like the campfire stories, where you have an encounter and a disembodied voice in your house, or you see something one time, or you live in a haunted house. And then you have these sort of more like urban legend type ghosts, not saying legend as in they're not real or they didn't happen, not discounting it, but like there's these ones that are sort of repeated and told, to frighten children, or maybe to keep people from picking up hitchhikers. I don't know which. But yeah, the lady in white, I definitely think the sort of like woman in white that as a ghost reappears and got countless places, and it goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years, right? Of seeing this kind of like female entity with flowing, usually it's like flowing robes or some sort of gown, maybe like a shroud. I know that in Victoria, nearish you, there's a cemetery that's kind of along the water there. I've forgotten the name of it. And that cemetery is supposed to have a number of ghosts, including a woman in white. And I believe that's the cemetery with a statue that if you say Bloody Mary like multiple times, its eyes start to bleed on Halloween night or something like that.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Victoria is a very haunted city.
Yes, it is.
Very haunted city.
Yeah.
And there is just
beautiful there
to investigate, and people there just do not take the paranormal as seriously as they could. And especially they have this beautiful museum castle called Craigdarroch Castle.
Yes.
And apparently this thing is as haunted as anything. And they do not allow paranormal investigations there.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, there's some hoity-toity places like that won't allow paranormal investigations. Oh. I don't know why. What are you doing? Keeping people up at night?
No, but why do you think that is? Do you think because
people are afraid? It's because people are afraid.
Are they afraid, or is it reputation, that old school reputation?
But that's fear. That's fear. That's fear of being associated with like the nutty lady that can see spirits. It's still fear, right? It's fear of like the paranormal in some way, I can understand people not being into it, but to completely forbid it is I don't know, it's something else going on there. I get it, not everybody's into the paranormal, not everybody wants to be known as like the ghost destination. Some places are also really snobby and they want to attract a certain crowd, and most ghost people I know don't walk around in a suit and tie and sip high tea. They're just in jeans and a t-shirt, so I don't know. I don't know why that is. I mean, I think there are certainly a lot of ghost investigations, in particular some of those that have been televised, that aren't particularly respectful. So I can kind of see the point of like not wanting to have a whole crew in there and a television crew and all of that. And, some people won't stay somewhere if they know it's haunted. Weirdos.
Well, I mean, if you look at Las Vegas, you look at the Luxor Hotel. They have multiple suicides there a year because it's the only hotel in Vegas on the Strip that has quasi balconies where
Oh,
where all the rooms on the outside are part of the windows, but there's these balconies that you can walk by to get to your room, and people have been known to jump off of those and or get thrown off in worst case scenarios.
mm,
And never mind, like, you hear the stories of Binions or whatever. I mean, most of the older hotels in Las Vegas still don't have a floor number 13, you
yeah.
know.
When we were there, Merle and I walked down the street to some funky old hotel. Now I've forgotten the name of it. Wasn't the Flamingo. What was that place called? Anyway, we walked into this one hall. We both immediately looked at each other like, did you feel that? Because you could feel like a temperature
Oh,
drop.
that was in Binions. I remember that.
Is that what it was? I cannot
Yeah.
remember the name of it, but it was very cool, very very cool old hotel. Definitely in like it was one of the first hotels built. It's not on the Strip; it's in downtown. So I think there's probably a number of places that you could investigate there, but it's not really like known as a ghost hunting town, you know?
No,
Yeah.
but it's still amazing how so many people there just do not want to have anything to do with the paranormal. And I just find that intriguing. I really do. You know?
Yeah, I know. I think that's why it's nice to have a community, whether everyone believes the same thing or not. It's nice to have an open-minded community to be able to like bounce ideas off of and really like share those stories without feeling, like you're going to be mocked or, I mean, some of us are mocked anyway, and after a while, you just get used to it. But I mean, that's kind of the beauty and kind of the fundamental idea of sharing stories, and certainly sharing ghost stories.
Mhm.
As soon as you share one, then someone opens up, and that's my favorite. It's like, oh well, something did happen to me. And some people don't always realize that what they've had is a paranormal experience. Other people, it's just a facet of their life. And I mean, a lot of people have been raised to think that it's a bad thing as well. So, and then some people just don't believe in it, and that's okay too. I mean, uh, that's that can be actually really interesting.
It's like the Banff Hotel, one of Canada's most haunted
Hmm.
hotels. They will not allow you. In fact, they will throw you out of the hotel if they catch you ghost hunting.
I mean, like how, like, okay, if you have like a bunch of equipment, they would know. But if you're just like
Yeah.
cruising around with like a psychic, they're not gonna be able to tell if you're in trance or whatever.
Many ghost
He's
hunters have
just had a few.
many ghost hunters have snuck their gear in there and done
Ooh,
mini
okay.
investigations.
Okay, here's the business idea. Okay. It's spy ghost hunting material. It's spy ghost hunting equipment. Looks like a watch, but it's actually an EVP meter. No one will know.
Yeah, right. All right, let's get to some audience questions here. Let's start off with Eriko. Do haunted
Mm.
locations attract UFOs, Varla?
That's a great question because it kind of brings to mind the idea of like, what is it that we're experiencing? And are we experiencing something that has been going on for thousands of years, and we just happen to kind of like pass over that ley line, and that's why there's a whole bunch of paranormal activity there, and maybe that's why um, there's more UFO sightings in that area. It certainly can be. I don't know if there's like a direct connection with like a haunted location and a UFO sighting. Although I would say maybe if it was like a more rural one, right? Then you just kind of, it's easier to see strange things in the sky when there's less light pollution for sure. But I mean, that just brings to mind like what is a ghost? What is, are we just seeing something that's in a time slip? Are we actually seeing the spirit of someone that's passing by? Like, there's just so many theories about it, none of which are definitive, because that's kind of the whole beauty of it. And what is it that's allowing us to see that, to have that encounter? Is it something within us? Is it something that is like we're picking up energetically from like I said, like the ley lines in the earth, or what it really is? I don't know if anybody's ever done a big comparison, but that would be a pretty interesting thing to try and track all the 20 most haunted places in every country or whatever, and then the 20 most common places for UFO sightings or other kind of encounters.
I
I don't
think
know. What do
because phenomena is everywhere, I think that once you attract one, you can attract the other there.
you?
I don't
Yeah,
know if it's true or not. That's just my theory.
yeah, I could see that. It's like a sign goes up. It's like
Absolutely. All right.
open-minded weirdos here. We're
Let's go to
here.
let's go to Sierra. Are cemeteries usually haunted? I've heard mediums say that cemeteries are usually not haunted because souls don't stay near their dead bodies after they die.
I think I think there are a lot of haunted cemeteries, and I think there are a lot of cemeteries that aren't haunted. So there's probably more cemeteries that aren't haunted. Um, there's a haunted cemetery by me, and I don't know if the whatever it is that's in there hangs out all the time, or if it just sort of like happens to be passing by occasionally when I'm passing by. I think what you have, I understand this, that souls don't want to stay near their dead bodies. We don't always know like why a ghost is in a place, and that's another big question. It's like, is it trapped? Is it in a loop? Is it there because it has unresolved business? Um, is it there because it wants to be near their loved ones? You got a whole plot, you got 6 family members, one of them's a ghost, the rest of them are like gone to the great abyss, and the one straggler still got some business here on earth. I mean, I don't know, but I do think they're holy places, they're sacred places, and any sacred place does have a tendency to have some kind of activity, in my opinion, especially to sensitives. So I think it just kind of depends. I also think, can come and go, right? Like you could, like I said, I walk through the cemetery by my house almost every day. And, every like third day, I'll be greeted by this, I just call it like a warm spirit. It's just a really warm spirit that just comes and says hi. It's like the opposite of a chill. You get like, it's like the warm chills. I don't really know what else to call it. I'd be curious if anybody else has ever had that kind of, that you always hear about, getting like the cold shivers. But at this one particular place, I get the opposite, like I don't know, it's the warm shivers. I don't know what else to call it. But that's a good question. I think cemeteries also tend to hold a lot of stories and be places of mystery. And so for that reason, when there are encounters, people are also frequently alone in cemeteries, which increases the odds, I think, of paranormal encounters. Like if you're there with a big raucous group, you might not see anything, but when you're, despite what the movies say, right? But it's, when you're alone roaming through a cemetery at dusk, you're definitely increasing your odds that something weird is going to happen.
I'm really surprised that a ghost at any time would want to be stuck in a cemetery of all places. Like, there's nothing there. Like, what are you trying to do here? You know what I'm
What
saying?
if there is something there, though? What if there's like, okay, first of all, you're presuming that the ghost has choice of where they are. We don't know that. We don't know that ghosts choose where they are. They might. We don't know that they do. Second, cemeteries are rad. I would totally haunt a cemetery. I think that would be great. I'd love to live in a cemetery. And then third, I think, just like some people enjoy being around other people, when living people, then I should think that the dead, there's like introverted dead, and cemetery is a great place for introverts.
Introverted ghost. That's gonna be the silliest thing I have heard in a long
Not all
time.
ghosts want to hang out, But I don't know. You presume that a ghost wants to be where they are, but I don't know how much say ghosts have in where they are. In fact, you usually kind of hear stories of the opposite, where they're released. You're releasing the ghost. I don't know. Then there's, there. I mean, I don't know if you choose that or you just sort of end up like, oh, look, I'm haunting you now. Might as well make the best of this.
Yeah, but there's nothing to do there. I mean,
What are you talking about? There's like endless stories in a cemetery. Every single headstone has a story.
I get
you could
that.
walk around, you could write, you could sketch, you could like jump out from behind something, frighten people. I think it would be a blast. So
I don't know.
I
Like,
would live in the cemetery after death or haunt a cemetery.
yeah, but you're introverted.
So that's my point. That's exactly my point. When I die, I am not going to go to Vegas and haunt some busy hotel. I'm going to like hang in like a small town cemetery.
I have it. I'll open up to you here for a second. I actually have it written down that when I pass, there's a couple of things that I require. I require that I have to wear my favorite Guns N' Roses shirt, my favorite ball cap, my favorite pair of shorts, no shoes, no socks. And then when they put me in the oven to cook me up, I have to go in with Paradise City playing. Yeah. And then I have my 4 spots picked out for where I want my ashes spread. One is going to be, or 2 are going to be at my favorite fishing holes, and the other 2 will be at my Sasquatch spots up here.
Okay.
Yeah. No funeral. Nobody's invited. Nobody's allowed there.
Who's doing the sprinkling?
Oh, my family will.
Your family. Okay.
But as for like a celebration of life or anything like that, nope, not allowed. Not allowed. And there's a reason for that, but I'll keep that one to myself. But yeah, I've got it all planned out, man.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Anybody wants to come visit me? I'm going to hang out with the Sasquatch, man.
You have to draw a map.
No way. No way.
You should start planning clues now. So it'll be like the Goonies. We can find your Sasquatch spot. I know some people know where it is.
Some people know where it is, but that's not for a long time yet anyways.
Exactly.
So by that time, a bunch of everybody else will probably gone first. So
yeah, your secrets will die with them.
I'm going to end up like Tom Hanks on the Green Mile.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. That's how I'm going to end up. Me and my mouse.
Aw, yeah. Your little buddy.
Yes. We got like 30 seconds before we go. Can we sneak in another question here? See if I can
probably sneak in a question. It's the answer that we probably can't sneak.
Yeah, I could totally get the question. Let's just waste the time. Let's just waste.
All right.
I don't know if we can, but we'll try it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just going back to the cemeteries.
Yeah, that's enough. We're gonna cut you off right there.
Okay. Perfect.
Let's
go easy. Cue the music.
Varla Ventura is here. We got her for another 30 minutes. We'll take audience questions. VarlaVentura.net is her website. As Varla says, cue the music.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave
Scott. All right, we're clear. We're clear.
All right.
All right, I got a question there. Jennifer, Dave, we all want to hang out with you in Sasquatch. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll actually tell you the reason, and I'm not trying to sound sad or anything, but I actually had a number of people before I moved up north here burn me big time. People who I thought were longtime friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm not having any, like when I pass, I'll never have a funeral or a what do they call them damn things? A celebration of life.
Celebration of life. Yeah.
Is because I don't want to give those people one last chance for crocodile tears.
Yeah.
It's my ultimate revenge back.
Just leave them with some unrequited grief. Good old fashioned unresolved grief.
I have friends, like best friends that I've lived up here 9 years, okay, and I have best friends who have never come to visit me.
Yeah, I know. I know
right?
How that feels. Yeah, I know how that feels.
My one friend who is my cousin and the godfather to my daughter, I love him to death. I do. But he's like, hey, are you ever going to move back down here? And I said to him, no. He goes, why not?
Were you living in Vancouver area?
Just outside of Vancouver.
Yeah.
And he's like, why not? I said, I moved away once. And for the first 3 weeks after I moved back, everything was great. Like it was back to normal. And then after that 3 weeks, everybody stopped calling me. So why would I move back and not have anybody to hang out with as friends? When I have friends up here, I've made new friends, made new great relationships with people. Why would I do that? Right? So now we only see each other at funerals.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So
I do know, actually. Yeah. Know that very well.
So
yeah, that's good. I like that. that.
No, I don't want to give, and it sounds so.
I'm always all for a little revenge from beyond the grave.
Oh
yeah.
Like,
all in.
It sounds so selfish, It sounds so selfish, I know, but I am just like, screw you guys. Screw you guys. I'm not doing any of this. You weren't there for me in life. Why would I allow you to be there?
I know it's a very morbid thing to do, but I'd like to write my own obituary.
Have you seen the video of that guy? It's viral online where
the guy that
in his coffin.
Like where it says like
hello,
he's God's problem now or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I love that. I just that's like I love those whenever those stories come up with just like an absolutely outrageously, like there was one a couple years ago. This woman was a witch, and the way that they like described her and like oh my god, it was just absolutely hysterical. It's like, oh please I'd love to have a obituary like that, but it would be really really great. The thing is you'd have to revise it every year. I feel like to revise it now. Hey, by the way, how's hockey season going for your son?
Good. They're 5-1.
Ooh, that's great.
Yeah. My boy got his first goal of the year.
Oh, excellent. What? So is he? He's not still Mite, right? He's a Pee-wee now.
Yeah, he's 11. So back in the old days, it would be Adam.
Okay.
But now they do this idiotic
Is it 11U there? Do they do? Yeah.
U13 garbage.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be here. We do that.
Yeah.
It's Pee Wee level. We do
Yeah.
first.
Pee Wee
second.
would be next for him.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, squirt. We call that squirt. He's squirt level.
Yeah. Thurston Howell the third. How are you? Are you going to be playing the extra tonight or no? That's all I want to know. You haven't played the extra in a while.
What does that mean?
Our music.
Oh.
Thank you, Area 53, Vaughn times 2, Richard, Mel, WD40, Deb, Jennifer, and Cosmic Joe for the super chats. Really appreciate your love and support of Spaced Out Radio.
You should mute me.
All right, here comes the next half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight we got Varla Ventura until the top on our cryptid world. Thank you for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott, and I'm so glad to be here. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com. Oh, sometimes I read the comments at the wrong time. By going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon, it's the Space Travelers Club. Let's get to Varla. VarlaVentura.net is her website before I lose all control of this show. Varla, how are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in there.
I saw you laughing.
I've lost control long ago.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's your show.
Oh, that's all right. I like it when you lose control. Ready for more audience questions?
I am. Bring it on.
All right, let's bring it on here. We got like a bunch of them. So we're going to start off with space is fake. Do you think that astral projection is experiencing what a ghost is like?
Oh, cool question. God, I mean, I don't know. Astral projection is such a, I mean, I could see that because you are moving outside of your body, right? Like that's the whole thing. Your consciousness and in many ways your spirit is moving outside of your body as you're traveling the astral plane, typically at night, right? And in theory, that's what's happening as a ghost, right? Like you no longer have your mortal body. Very cool point. I've never thought of it that way. I have accidentally astrally projected a couple of times. That's a story for a different time, right? That's a Vegas story for you. I've not done a lot of like personal training toward astral projection, but I do believe that most people astral project, and but very few people are as conscientious or have any control over it. That's a very cool thought, though. Yeah, because you kind of leave your body behind, but you're still conscious and you're kind of traveling around and you can see things. And people who are really good at astral projecting, who actually are like talented and put effort into it and learn how to control themselves, are able to actually kind of like cruise around and find missing things and see things. I know a witch in Salem that does that. She's amazing, and she's done it since she was a young child. So yeah,
love it. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Here comes the next one, and let's go to Jules. I have seen a few ghosts and experienced a poltergeist activity. Do you think what is called poltergeist is really a ghost or some other force or a person with random telekinesis?
Yeah. So, right. So typically like a poltergeist is considered like a ghost that can actually sort of like move things around, chuck furniture around, slash scratch people or cause some kind of bodily harm. So kind of like, it's like a very extreme, not just like something out of the corner of your eye. I actually have kind of a different theory about poltergeists, and it came to me when I was researching the Fairies, Pookas, and Changelings book. And I kept finding these descriptions of these like fairy-like spirits that lived in the houses with people that would get upset because they're helpful spirits, but if people weren't being respectful of them, that they would do things like pinch you in the night and scratch you and hide missing objects. It wouldn't necessarily like hurl objects, so I'm not sure about that part. So I don't know, because I also wonder about like using the Ouija board, for example, and other forms of divination and the element of telekinesis when you're doing that. Like, are you actually projecting your thoughts, and that's you don't feel like you're physically moving the planchette, but your thoughts are kind of moving it. And then the collective thought of a group of people, such as like as a seance, table lifting, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, poltergeists are definitely a bit of a mystery as far as like, what category do they fit in? They certainly the pattern seems to be that they prey on. I don't know if prey is the right word, because I don't necessarily think that's correct, but they seem to appear or be attracted to like sort of frantic kinetic situations. So that could, add something to the telekinesis. But a lot of times it'll be like kids or teenagers, right? Well, there's tons of energy. The kids are like changing, all these like wild things are going through their minds. So there's a lot of, angst and experiences and emotions happening. I think also after a big traumatic event, going through something really stressful, like death of a loved one or divorce or something like that, where there's just like a lot of stress and anxiety around energetically, not necessarily even consciously, but just energetically. And then poltergeist activity can be attracted to that. I mean, I've heard a lot of theories about that. It could be all of the above, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would be a person just like, really controlling it. I mean, you'd have to be very, very unconscious of your own abilities to like be manifesting, like a chair moving across the room. But I mean, ask Stephen King, he thinks that's possible. So it's a good question. I love thinking about the different like angles of what what we define a poltergeist or a ghost or whatever, and then all the possibilities, especially when you've had the actual experience.
Let's get to another question. Let's go to Blue Cruise. Any real gross or disgusting cryptid or humanoid tales?
I mean, I don't know, Dave, do you have any? I can't really think of like something particularly gross or disgusting. I mean, I can tell you a story about like a woman who tore her husband limb for limb and was accused of being a werewolf. There you go.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Okay. So this is in probably 1680 or so. And there was a woman who was supposedly found now I say supposedly because back in the day, back in those times, if you weren't accused of being a witch, you were accused of being a werewolf, a vampire, some other kind of sorcerer, right? So whatever they could do to like get you out of the way. So anyway, this woman was found in her home, and she had blood all over her, and her husband had been torn apart. Like he was murdered, but he was actually like torn apart, not cut apart, torn apart. One arm over here, a leg over here, and she was just sort of like sitting with his remains. And when they found her, she just was sort of in this dazed state. And they said they found on her person a like a small little purse kind of tied under her skirt around her waist. And in that purse, there was wolfsbane. So, which is aconite, which is known to cause like hallucinations and erratic behavior, and also basically turn you into a werewolf. So the speculation was that this woman had transformed into a werewolf on the full moon, because of course it was the full moon, and tore her husband limb for limb, and murdered him, and then just kind of sat there until someone came the next day. That's pretty gross.
That is kind of gross. Good job. Kimberly wants to know, why don't we hear about black-eyed children anymore?
Well, you know what? I actually just heard a black-eyed. We don't hear about them as much, but I heard a black-eyed children's story the other day. I was listening to Jim Harold's Campfire Stories. Love Jim Harold. Love that podcast. And he's like you, Dave. He's just like a really wonderful host, the way he talks to people and like he draws their stories out, and just all around great guy. But anyway, so this woman told this story, and it was actually pretty recent. I think it was in still during like the pandemic. So a bunch of stuff was shut down. So it was like 2020 or 2021. And she told this story about seeing this kid kind of like walking alongside the road, looked like maybe like a young teenager, couldn't quite tell. And he had a hood on, just like a hoodie, a sweatshirt. And she never got a good look at his eyes. So she couldn't tell if they were all black or what was happening. But the kid was kind of walking and then kind of like walked up to her car and asked her a very strange question. I'm trying to remember what the question was. It was something, the kid asked if she would go with him to help his friend. And she just got this like really weird feeling about it. And he was a kid. He wasn't like, she didn't feel threatened by his, size or anything like that. She just like got this really strange feeling. And she, of course, felt conflicted, right? Because it also looked like a child. And so she said, well, where is your friend? I can call someone for you. And I think the kid like wanted a ride. I don't remember all the details other than that, like there was another kid down the road, kind of like, but she just got this like really creepy feeling and just decided, and all of her alternatives, like instead of coming into my house, let me call someone for you. The kid was like kind of insistent, but then just sort of like walked away. And it was just a very strange story. And she called in not knowing and kind of wondering what was this, did she have a black-eyed children encounter? And then I heard another one actually when we were in Vegas, Dave. Someone told me a black-eyed children story. I don't remember. It might have been Preacher. We were talking about it, Preacher and Merle and I. But someone had an experience like, just. But right. It doesn't feel like for a while it was like this, whatever, 5-6 years ago, there was a lot of black-eyed children talk. I maintain that they're, changelings. That's my theory.
I wonder if these creatures just come and go. They'll come for a stint and then they disappear for 10, 20 years and then they come back. I often wonder that.
Yeah, I also wonder things like, if they feel like people are like looking for them or kind of like seeking them out, if there might be like a retreat because they don't necessarily want to have a bunch of interaction, or they witness something like, humans being the douchebags that they are. And then they're just like, yeah, we're going to take a break from humankind for a while.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's always, I love hearing those stories. And I think it's a particularly interesting phenomenon because there's always that part of you that is like, well, it's a child, right? So I should help it. So anytime some kind of whatever entity, anything like that appears in a vulnerable form, it feels like particularly sinister, right? If you have like a strange feeling about it. I don't know. And then you also feel a little conflicted because you're like, I know I shouldn't let this creepy child in my house, but
You do it
what could
anyway.
possibly go wrong? Yeah.
Let's go to Sierra. What do you think, or what do you think is responsible for the phenomenon non-decomposing bodies of Catholic saints?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's like everybody's DNA is so different, and some people decompose faster than others. I genuinely think it's just like a science thing. Like some people just decompose faster than others, and all these other factors that, of course, we know about now, including like weather, the time of year, all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of stories. It's funny because it's Catholic saints and vampires alike, right? It's like that's who you're in this camp or that camp. There's no middle ground of like an ordinary person with a perfectly preserved body. It's usually like someone's either an immortal vampire or a saint. Yeah, I don't really know. It's interesting to think about, though.
It is very interesting. Let's go to Polly. Are there spirits that watch us or watch on us like guardian angels?
I think so. Do you think so, Dave?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they also might just kind of check on us once in a while. Like they're not necessarily like people always say that as like, oh, can my grandpa see me in the shower? But it's I think it's more of a just like letting you know. And for some people they can ask for signs, and a sign will come through. I have a friend who always finds blue marbles whenever she's thinking of her son. So, sometimes those things come through for some people. Might be a coin or something like that. Um, I mean, I do kind of think that there's like, they're out there all the time and we just can't see them. But I sort of, I'd live in a graveyard. So it's the world I want to live in. A world full of ghosts. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to another question. Let's go back to Polly. How can we make a difference between ghosts and angels?
So I think that ghosts are tied to people. Like ghosts are formerly what was formerly known as a human being or possibly like a pet, right? Like the occasional ghost cat or ghost dog encounter or something like that. So I feel like the difference between that and like an angel is something that is kind of it's more of a divine entity, so it's kind of tapped into divine energy. So that's more immortal. It's before us, it's after us, it's kind of always there. So in my mind, like I think of angels versus devils or whatever. Like I don't really think of it that way, but I do think that there's angelic beings, and that is something that's more tapped in with like our higher consciousness and the divine messages that we can get from whatever you think you'd be getting a message from, whatever your belief system is there. So I feel like that is kind of like in my mind, that's a fundamental difference. Would we be able to tell that in a given moment? I don't know. It's that woman Ida Craddock who was a sex educator and wrote all about the marital bed and was, persecuted for it back in the 1800s. And she claimed she got all of her knowledge from her marriage to an angelic being named Soph, who she slept with on a nightly basis. And who apparently they had very, very noisy ghost sex because the neighbors would complain.
Damn neighbors. Get off my lawn.
But I mean, she said that was an angelic being, so I don't know what it was. Yeah.
Let's go to Sierra. Why do ghosts make sounds when they move around? Are they physical?
Well, I don't know if all ghosts do. Sometimes you just sort of, okay. There very well may be different kinds of ghosts, right? You're talking about poltergeists or whatever. I also believe that the people have different levels of abilities of like seeing ghosts or hearing ghosts. So like some people are clairaudient, right? Where you can like hear things. Clairsentient, where you can sense things more. Clairvoyant is when you actually can see, and sometimes all of the above. So not everyone actually hears sounds that ghosts make, but the whole idea of like the creaky floor, the knock on the door. I mean, what if it wasn't that they're actually making those noises, but they're really able to make us perceive those noises? Because how many times have you heard the story of like, I heard these footsteps, I looked out in the hall, there was nothing there. But you heard the footsteps, right? So I don't know, are they physical? Certainly. I mean, if you've ever seen one, they're definitely physical. We physically can see things. I've never been like in a situation where I've been able to like, punch my hand through a ghost or anything like that. I've not had like, usually it's the closest I've ever been is, halfway, maybe 20 feet away or something like that. So I've never had like the in my face encounter, floating ephemeral ghost head above me.
Yes. All right, let's go to another question as we got about 3 minutes here. Luna wants to know, have you had experiences where these otherworldly beings communicate with you through telepathy?
Yes, I suspect that's would be their main form of communication. Yeah, I mean, I have otherworldly beings. Primarily for me, it's been what I would consider ghosts are the things that I've had encounters with. But I've certainly had a few kind of like strange woodland encounters that I can't explain, and a few other things like that. I do think that telepathy is a way that I would venture, and Dave, you can weigh in on this, that Sasquatch communicate through telepathy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
I
yeah.
believe that.
Yeah. But I have had experiences with telepathy, actually. It's a little bit annoying, honestly, sometimes.
All right.
Get out of my head.
We got 2 minutes. Let's go to Vanessa. Varla, have you been to Buckland's Museum of Witchcraft and Magic?
No, in Ohio, right? No, I've wanted to, but I did work with Raymond Buckland on a book many years ago. When I worked at a book publisher, I worked with him, and he was absolutely wonderful, charming, amazing man. And everybody just loved him. And I actually just was recently looking at where Buckland's Museum of Witchcraft and Magic is, which is like right in the Cleveland area. And that's definitely on my list of places to go. It's worth the trip just to go to that museum. I also want to go to the Museum of Witchcraft and Magic that's on I think it's on the Isle of Man. That would be pretty fabulous.
Let's sneak in another one. I like this question by Polly. What does a never do when you are communicating with ghosts?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that, first of all, I would never enter into, sometimes they just communicate with you and you're caught unawares, right? But if you're talking about trying to go into some kind of like trance or seance and have communication with a ghost or a paranormal investigation, going into it without kind of like mentally preparing yourself and sort of protecting yourself is a big mistake. Not saying you have to go into it with like the most open mind. Sometimes you can go into it with like, a healthy dose of skepticism or just going along for the ride and having a good time. But I would say like going into a situation and carrying a lot of like negative energy with you could be really, I think that's a never do. And then I hate it when people yell at ghosts. I absolutely hate it. That is a huge pet peeve of mine. I don't need to see your biceps flexed. I don't need you to tell a ghost what to do. I don't think it's effective. I think it's ridiculous. And I think it's just done for show. So for me, that's a big never do. I would walk out of an investigation if I was in that situation, even if I was on TV.
Ooh. Varla
I'm
Ventura,
out.
to you, and we will talk to you next month. Varla Ventura, our
Good night.
cryptid world, varlaventura.net. Her website, Swamp Dweller is next, followed by Little Timmy James and the UFO Report. We'll be right back. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Okay.
Thank you, Varley.
Thank you. It was nice seeing you again.
Much love.
Okay. Have a great night, Dave.
You 1 to 4.
Yeah. Take care.
All right, buddy.
1 to 4. Okay. Bye.
We shall see you guys in a few minutes. right. Little Timmy James. How are ye?
I'm cold.
Yeah. Hold on. Change hats here.
Wearing our Canadian hats.
There we go.
Perfect.
How you doing, buddy? How you feeling?
Oh. Let's just say much better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Man, that was brutal. Lesson learned.
Swampy is about just over 4 minutes, like 4 minutes, seconds.
No worries.
Yeah. This toque that I'm wearing, beanie for you Americans in translation, this was made by purple-haired Pixie Lara.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. It's really warm.
This is my Canadian ice fishing hat.
That's a good ice fishing hat.
I got about 4 of them.
Somewhere.
They're brilliant.
All right. Thank you to Joe, Jennifer, Deb, Mel, Area 53, Vaughn ×2, and Richard for the super chats. Here we go, everybody. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet called Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do we got here? Sacramentarianism. Sacramentarianism is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Hey Swamp Dweller, my family has had an insane number of experiences with the supernatural. We are a family of women with psychic abilities and men that have had just some crazy, unexplainable occurrences. Today, I wanted to share a story with you and your followers. Something that did not happen to me, but to my uncle. He doesn't use the internet a whole lot and didn't even know how to get his story out there. So, I'm submitting it on his behalf. Without further ado, this story takes place in Canada, specifically the outskirts of Thunder Bay, in the year of 2003. My uncle has always been what most would call a drifter. He was seldom in one spot for too long and would get around by hitchhiking. Christmas of 2002 leading into January 2003, my uncle had traveled from Regina to Ontario to spend the holidays with our family. We were all located in Ontario at the time. As the holiday seasons had passed, he made his way back to Regina in his most common fashion, hitchhiking. He had an uneventful trip until he made it to Thunder Bay. He was dropped off by a transport trucker on a desolate highway outside of Thunder Bay, as that was as far as the trucker could take him. He had wandered further and further down the highway with rarely any passing vehicles, none willing to stop and give him a ride. It was between 2 and 3 a.m. at this point, and he was absolutely freezing, and started to slow his pace and take many breaks along his walk. He ended up standing in one spot for some time in an attempt to warm himself and conserve energy. It was under a streetlight, and his spot was well lit. Suddenly, he began to hear what sounded like branches snapping behind him in the tree line, about a half a football field length away. He chalked it up to a deer or a moose, as the deep Canadian forest is full of wildlife that are quite active at night. He then heard what sounded like a groaning sound, muffled and almost sounding like a human, but not quite. He decided to continue walking and would speed his pace up in between streetlights because he just had this eerie feeling. something was off, and he felt this pit in his stomach, like something was eating away at him. He could hear whatever it was in the tree line following him as he moved. It seemed to mimic him almost, but it seemed to remain in the tree line. Branches cracked, and in between cracks he could hear grunts and groans. Then it hit him. The grotesque smell of raw meat that had been baking in the sun mixed with what smelled like garbage. He could see a moving figure that appeared to be white in color with patchy fur. He had never been so afraid in his life, with no way to call for help and the isolating feeling brought on by the realization that not a single vehicle had passed in hours. He felt helpless and feared for his life, quite frankly. He tried to keep moving. Faster and faster, the creature kept this pace, yet still remained in the tree line, just out of sight, almost as if it was playing with him. He stopped as he approached the final streetlight on this stretch of highway, and felt the most fear he has ever felt in his life. The streetlight's dim light was the only sense of safety he was able to grasp, and now it was gone. He turned to face the tree line and noticed that he couldn't see or hear anything, and he had thought the creature had given up on him. He almost sighed a breath of relief, and he heard a branch snap once more, almost directly in front of him. What came next has stuck with him, a shriek so loud and shrill that it made his entire body freeze up, rendering him in a state of shock paralysis. Thankfully, headlights approached and came to a halt beside him. He hadn't even the capacity to turn and try to catch a ride. He was still paralyzed with fear. It was a lovely man in a large black Jeep. The gentleman screamed at my uncle to get in the vehicle, and he did not protest and jumped right in. Naturally, not his first instinct, as he prefers to get a feel for the person stopping to pick him up. But the man had a tone of urgency and fear, and my uncle did not want to be a meal for whatever that creature was. As soon as my uncle jumped into the Jeep, the man sped off and then parked about 20 minutes up the road and explained to my uncle what he had saw when he was approaching him on the highway. My uncle was so grateful that the man had seen what he did. Based upon the description, my uncle's in-depth research of cryptids following in this experience, we all believe what my uncle saw was probably a Wendigo or something of that nature.
Thank you, Swampy, for another great story as we continue on with more tonight. Swamp Dweller can be found on YouTube. Thousands of stories for free. Just go to his channel, Swamp Dweller. It's a UFO report. Here's Tim James.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
Little Timmy James, how you doing, buddy? You had the night off last night because you were ill, but you're back tonight.
You betcha. Feeling much better. Thank you.
Was it something you ate?
Yeah, it's called not remembering that you took your daily meds once already. And then you go, I don't think I took those. And so you doubled up. Yeah, it was like, yeah, Jello. Yeah, it was a mess. So going to be a little more conscientious about my medications.
Well, when you get to your age, I mean, medication is important.
Absolutely.
You're closing in on a century here, my friend.
I'm only 7 years older than you.
Yeah, I know.
You'll catch up.
I will one day. One day. And that's why we are friends, people. That is why we are friends. Man, it's been a busy, busy time in the UFO political world here. You know,
Yeah,
it has. But I do want to say something. I don't know if you heard my little bit of a rant right before the show.
I most certainly did.
You got insulted.
Yeah, I saw that. Or I heard that.
Yeah, you got insulted.
And you know what? That's okay.
Apparently, both you and Courtney Marcassani suck at the UFO report.
Wow.
And I'm one-dimensional.
Well, the way that I look at this is it's an opinion. And you know what? If I took every opinion that was negative, I mean, you know, criticism is one thing and constructive criticism is one thing, but just to spout off hiding behind your mom's apron, and that it's just like whatever. our audience, the subscribers and SOR audience are fantastic. And, I think 99.9% of us are all on the same page. And there's always something that always going to be something that ripples the water, but that's okay. Just hope the person's happy with getting it off their chest. And thank you for being so honest with me and allowing me to see the true you, right?
Oh yeah. I love it. I love it, man. I
It's all
love it.
good.
Yes.
So,
With friends like you, who needs enemies?
yep. My grandfather used to say, I stepped over better men than you to get to the mediocre ones.
Oh, nice. What do you got for us?
But I digress. Well, here we go. So obviously with the Senate hearings and stuff the other day, I don't know if you saw anything about this, but Christopher Sharp from the Liberation Times put out an article, and it's an op-ed piece, and I found it pretty interesting. So did an interview with some people in there, and so it's titled "Broken Arrow: Questions Mount Over Go Fast UFO Investigation." So, concerns are growing over the analysis of the supposedly resolved UAP case by the U.S. government's ARROW, tasked with investigating UAP incidents. During the Senate Armed Service Subcommittee hearing, Dr. John Kozlowski, the new director of ARROW, claimed that the Go Fast video filmed in January of 2016 and appearing to depict a UAP above the ocean off the U.S. East Coast, as recorded by the startled U.S. Navy aircrew, had been explained. But speaking to the Liberation Times, former Naval Aviation Lieutenant Ryan Graves and founder of Americans for Safe Aerospace stated that the Arrow was not even, has not even spoken to the weapons system officer who witnessed the UAP at the recorded the Go Fast video. Graves told Liberation Times, I spoke to the weapons system officer who had recorded the video a couple of weeks ago, and he confirmed no one from Arrow spoke to him. Graves also added, I think it's important to raise the point that the Arrow's lack of conversation with the witnesses on videos they are attempting to resolve indicates they are simply finding technicalities to resolve video evidence versus looking for the truth. They ask for witnesses to come forward, but why would they if they don't consider their testimony? This has sparked major concerns regarding how ARROW conducts its UAP investigations. Former U.S. Marine Corps intelligence analyst and practicing attorney Sean Munger told Liberation Times, from the presentation at the Senate hearing by Dr. Kozlowski, it appears to me that ARROW did not resolve the UAP event commonly known as Go Fast. Unanswered questions remain. What was the object? Where did it originate? And where did it go? Etc. Instead, ARROW simply addressed the name of the file, Go Fast, and concluded it was not going fast per se. Furthermore, it is my understanding that ARROW did not communicate with the flight crew that took the video, which implies that ARROW investigators lack a full situational awareness of the incident. In any proper investigation, it is imperative for the fact finder, in this case ARROW, to know the totality and circumstances leading up to the recorded video, as well as the events that occurred following. I look forward to read any published material ARROW can provide to explain the questions they were attempting to answer and methods applied. ARROW's findings on the Go Fast case displayed on the screen during the hearing were that, following in-depth computational analysis of naval aircraft flight characteristics and sensor readings, ARROW, in coordination with S&T partners, assesses with high confidence the UAP did not demonstrate any anomalous speed or flight characteristics. Kozlowski added, the Go Fast captured the public attention and congressional attention when it was made public in 2017. It looks like an object flying very fast over the water, very close to the water. Through a very careful geospatial intelligence analysis using trigonometry, we assess with high confidence that the object did not actually close or was not actually close to the water, but is rather closer to 13,000 feet. The Go Fast object was recorded within just minutes and of another UAP setting recorded off on the video off the U.S. East Coast, known as gimbal, which depicts a wingless object rotating against the wind and accompanied by unknown objects. Speaking about the broader context of the Go Fast UAP, Graves added, the pilots certainly didn't find the object interesting due to its speed. If anything, Arrow has merely debunked its own labeling of the footage. What's anomalous about the object isn't its speed, but the fact it was recorded just minutes apart from the gimbal video. Further highlighted that multiple objects were operating in the area, far more than what the initial video alone reveals. I've spoken with the flight crew recently, and they stated that the Go Fast was part of a 4-object formation flying line abreast with about a mile separation between them. Ultimately, following Arrow's analysis, key questions remain, such as what the Go Fast video represents, how it fits in within the broader context of objects seen by the U.S. Navy during that time, where it originated from, and who controlled it. Although Arrow considers the case resolved, it remains no closer to determining what objects or potential foreign adversaries have penetrated restricted airspace and continue to do so to this day, according to multiple Liberation Time sources. Crucially, according to Graves, this ongoing activity continues to pose a safety risk to military aircraft, air crews, and suggesting that Arrow's efforts have done little to enhance the safety of service members. I was like, yeah, little bit of a tongue lashing.
Well, here is my point on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't.
Right.
This report about the Go Fast gimbal and Tic Tac
Mhm.
is an absolute slap across the face to the brave men and women who fly these multi-million-dollar jet fighters.
Mm-hmm.
The average cost of an FA-18 Super Hornet is around $70 to $80 million, I believe.
I think
Probably
right.
Canadian, not American. And they are the best of the best pilots. When you fly a fighter jet in the United States military, they are choosing the best of the best. Only 2 out of every 500 applicants in the United States Air Force actually gets to fly a jet fighter.
Wow.
Okay. These people have been trained profusely as observers. They know their environment. They know what's in the sky at all times. They're speed jockeys. They know an airliner from a weather balloon. And for them to sit there, them being Arrow, to sit there and say that it's going 40 miles an hour when these fighter pilots, including if we the 40 miles per hour, I believe, was done on the Tic Tac and gimbal. Okay, where they were literally watching these things fly hundreds of miles an hour. A fighter pilot is going to be able to tell whether or not something is flying at 500 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour. In their jet, even at their cruising speed of, say, 400 or 500 knots, they are going to be able to tell something moving much slower than them. Okay, they are. So when you have fighter pilots who've flown in combat situations or taken training like naval pilots, you take Commander David Fravor on the Tic Tac incident where he was a former instructor at Top Gun.
Right.
And you're now saying that those people in those jet planes don't know what they are talking about. Your report is full of crap.
Well, they use trigonometry. Come on.
I am trusting the pilot on this,
I
not
agree.
Arrow, who is trying to whitewash this entire topic. And why would I trust a report from a guy who did not take an oath? He refused to swear on his testimony. Explain that one to me.
Exactly. Oh, maybe the lady sitting next to him giving him the eyeballs. He would. Yeah,
I'm telling you right now, when I played hockey, I got the look a few times from
Sure.
some very tough guys. That look was nothing like Susan Goff's in that hearing. Nothing. I'm telling you right now, I would not fight her. I would not fight her. She intimidates me.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a bit scary.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah, I like it.
Here we go with the grifting comment. I disagree with you, Dave. This footage was an orchestrated grift. Yes, the pilots are legit, but the footage has been grifted by the UAP audience we saw in recent days. No, it hasn't been. No, it hasn't been, Lee. Okay. And for our radio audience, our great listener, Lee, he's addicted to the word grifting. And
Yes.
And the fact is, these pilots, okay, their close encounters of what their radars picked up and what they saw with their own eyes is a lot more credible than a report from somebody who will not testify under oath.
Exactly. You know, and you're saying, those pilots, they know their stuff. And the thing is, too, is, it was at 13,000 feet. And, again, these people have the technology to see where these things are, right? And yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, yeah, there's a lot more questions to be asked, and the investigation seemed pretty superficial, I guess, is the best way I could put that. And they're just coming up with excuses. He's more personable than Kirkpatrick, I would, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean that he's telling the same truths, right?
Well,
or telling the truth.
Look, I'm not saying these are UFOs.
No.
I think these are UAPs.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had private conversations with people within the industry who have claimed that they believe that technology is American made.
Right.
Okay. I'm not saying that this is UFOs at all. But I also strongly believe that Arrow has been trying to throw a wrench since they were created into the UFO/UAP subject because they want this topic to go away.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with whether or not Lou Elizondo or Chris Mellon or the other UFO celebrities are trying to make a buck off of this. There's a reality to it. Take away the celebrity status of UFOs, there are real fighter pilots, real naval pilots, real satellite imagery. There is real radar. I mean, Kevin Day, who has not earned a dime off of this from the USS Princeton, he's the guy who had the radar locked in on these and sent the F-18s to figure out what the tic-tacs were. Okay? It stirred him up emotionally. He's got PTSD over it. And then the punishment he had to take right after that. Yeah. Talk to him privately. See what he says. That's not grifting. That's telling you from a professional's attitude. As the top radar operator on a naval vessel, you need to be accurate. He was pretty accurate when he was talking about watching the one tic-tac drop from 80,000 feet to 10 feet above sea level in 0.78 of a second.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's still...
Go ahead.
No, I've watched some of his and heard some of his stories, and I've seen him on some of the interviews and stuff, and he's still emotionally just a wreck because of all of that too, right? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm in total agreement with you, and it's not grifting. The guy hasn't done anything, right?
Exactly. Look, I understand what Lee is saying about the celebrities. I just like to bug Lee a little bit. I do, because he's fun to bug, and he bugs me back. Okay, and he's addicted to the word grifting. We'll make that comment when we come back on Spaced Out Radio. Tim, stick around. We'll be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott. Yes, Rico, what are you going to spend your $250 on? Oh, but that rebate doesn't come till after Christmas. Oh, God.
Oh, no. Somebody's trying to buy votes?
Oh.
Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And there's old Jugmeat who's sitting there saying the liberals are bad, everything is bad, but we're going to prop them up on this one.
Yeah.
You scumbag.
Yeah. So indecisive.
Yep.
Gotta love Canadian politics.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, did you see the new e-petition that's out? That Benjamin Schofield put out for what is it? E-petition E5178, and it is a petition that outlines shortcomings in the current approach to various government departments on UAPs in Canada. I was like, no way. So there's a petition, and they want a UAP oversight committee up here now.
Oh, yeah, that's already in the works.
Well, yeah, but it was, and what was it? Oh my good God. Can't remember. Larry McGuire, I think, was the one that kind of spearheaded that, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they've got the petition out online now. You can actually go in and sign it.
Who's the guy who's doing it?
Out of Winnipeg, Benjamin Schofield from Winnipeg, Manitoba. And yeah, it was, and it's sponsored by McGuire.
Oh, let's see here. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Well, let's put this out on X here.
Yeah, for sure.
Put that out there right now.
Yeah. And then I've gone back and forth with the dude from Sky Canada, and that's flatlined. So I just keep emailing him. Hey, just wondering if you got my last email. And oh, it's Tim James again from SOR.
So what are they calling that? A UAP task force?
A UAP oversight committee. They want a unified Canadian strategy for addressing UFOs.
All right, we'll throw that in there. There we go. There we go. There we go. It's posted.
Excellent.
There we go. Good job.
Yeah. Stumbled across it. I love those ones. It's like, dang. Perfect.
No, that's good.
Yeah. So you go to Dave 101?
I don't know. I'm just not feeling it tonight.
No?
Not feeling it. It's because of Lee's grifting that I'm not.
Oh.
I'm teasing. Lee, have a laugh on me, buddy. Have a laugh. Sweet Tony D, good morning. Where's the comment? Who wrote the comment that I believe that who's eating grape nut? Oh, Trudeau's eating grape nuts for breakfast naked. Oh, that's funny. That is funny. No, that one's not getting to me, Tim. I'm just bugging Lee. Lee's a good guy. He loves the grift. It's an addiction. I think he has a tattoo on his back that says grifter.
Oh, Lee.
Damn it, Lee. Damn it.
Damn it, Lee.
Oh, man. All right, here we go. Here we go with the third and final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate learning and seeing ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the night, that time of the week, where I yell at each and every one of you, get off my lawn. It's a Dave 101.
Open up the door, it's Dave! Who? Dave, D-A-V-E! What is this?
Dave's not here!
It's the Dave 101.
I can see you're really upset about this. I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over.
Leave the killer out! Yeah! Leave the killer! Dave's a mess.
Tim James is still here with me for the Dave 101. Tim, you know what I hate?
What do you hate?
I'm going to tell you what I hate right now.
Cool.
I had planned on getting a bunch of Spaced Out Radio swag for people that I care about over Christmas. Because I'm not a holidays guy. I'm a Christmas guy. And every time the union that runs Canada Post decides to go on strike, it's right around Christmas. Well, guess what old Davey found out this year?
What?
I can actually buy things online.
Oh,
Yeah. See, I'm the type of guy who actually likes to go to a store
Mhm.
and touch things and feel things and then buy those things. Whether it's a pair of pants or a new toy or my weird obsession with puzzles that I never get to solve because I can't figure it out. And Canada Post goes on strike and they say they are not getting back to work until their contract is ratified. And I know you're an old union guy. I get why you do it. Hit them where it hurts. But Canada Post is you know what? I can't even say the word right now because I'm sick and tired of Canada Post or whether it's teachers unions. They always say that they're doing it for the betterment of everybody else when it's only about their pocketbooks. It's true. Teachers don't go on strike for the sake of the children. They go on strike to get more money and more holiday time. Remember when you and I were kids? When we were lucky to get a Pro D day every, month and a half, 2 months.
Yep.
And now my son probably gets 20 to 30 Pro D days a year.
Holy.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Oh,
Pro
I
D.
I will say this. I agree. Everybody deserves a living wage.
For
But
sure.
my complaint with the union, and I am a union supporter. I am a union supporter. You and I have had that conversation, Tim. You know that I'm speaking the truth here. But I'm tired of being held hostage. That's what I don't like. It's getting for people wondering what a pro D day is. It's a professional development day. It's like where the teachers go to work, they take their teaching courses, and that's where the actual the whiskey comes out of the drawer to, with the other teachers.
Little
Look,
baggie in the staff room.
I love teachers. I do.
Yeah.
And teachers are some of the most underpaid people. They really are. Okay. And especially the way teachers have their hands tied off by so many rules and regulations now, and some of it's stupidity. I feel for them. They do deserve it. But I don't like being held hostage. That's what I'm saying. I don't like being held hostage with my kid, through school or with my mail. Right? I don't like that. I don't like it at all. So screw you, Canada Post, for going on strike to try and get, ruin Christmas for many people. I'm not complaining, Vaughn. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, as a parent, being selfish. I don't like my mail messed with, and I don't like my son's schedules messed with. That's all I'm saying. Don't like it. If you're going to strike, do it over the summer. Right? When you're not affecting people. So, you know what? I just feel like this calm, whistling wind now going by. I just a bunch of people off.
What's going on with the numbers? No.
Yeah. Why are the numbers dropping right now? I am a little bit upset about this whole arrow thing. I am really bugged by that. How do you feel, Tim?
Again, like, even I was at work and I was working very diligently, and it happened to pop up, so I watched most of it. Thank you, Rob, for putting it up. And it was just like, again, that I think the biggest thing that I saw was somebody that was a little more articulate than the last director, and a little more personable. But yeah, just kind of the same stuff. I mean, I think Kozlowski tried to fill in a little bit of the blanks and kind of go past that. Oh, there's nothing to see here. But it really ended up, for me, it just seemed to, we just took another step up, but it was still the same.
I got a question. I'm
not impressed at all.
Tim, you're cutting out quite a bit. You're cutting out.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm wired in too.
Yeah. Well, let's go to Luna's question. I don't normally take questions during the Dave 101 time, but I will today. It's a little bit different. Dave, not sure if this is personal. If it is, please ignore. But how do your relatives treat or view you with this show you have? I ask because I am the conspiracy guy in my family. Well, you know what? It's really funny. My mom never talked to me about it when she was alive. My dad doesn't believe in all of this weird stuff. Yet all of my dad's friends, that's all they want to talk to me about is UFOs, Bigfoot. And they'll try and make fun of me, and then I make a bunch of old jokes about them because they are older than me, and just remind them, I go up to my dad's friend Dan, who seems to wear the same shirt every day or every time I'm seeing him. So I actually sent some Spaced Out Radio shirts down to him, and he still hasn't worn them, because he wears the same shirt every day. And his wife's like, he's got 5 of those shirts. I'm like, I don't believe you, right? So my sisters and my nephews think it's kind of cool. My sisters don't care because they're kind of all about themselves. Yeah, I threw a shot there at my sisters. Absolutely.
Your show.
I'm pretty open with what I do. So I'm at the point now where I used to care. I used to be really quiet about it. But now, like, considering I'm like a pariah of the family, it doesn't bother me anymore. It all depends how deep down the rabbit hole you're going, though. Like, if a lot of conspiracy theorists, and I'm not saying you, Lunico, are like this, but a lot of conspiracy theorists, they can't just stop at one topic. They got to go into all these different topics that make you seem really wacky. Whether it's the fluoride in the water, which we're learning is true, whether it's, CERN creating black holes that are causing microorganisms from planet Zeton to come on in and screw things up. That's where people get fed up. And I don't do that, at least not around my family. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not really into it. I'm not into the, that you can't hug someone who has, maybe gone overboard with their, their, how do you say it without getting flagged?
Yeah.
It started a couple of years ago, and I've got friends, man, who will not hug a person if they have it because they're afraid the germs from that will infect them.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets a little ridiculous at times because there is a lot of truth out there, but the conspiracy theorists that are way beyond the tinfoil hat syndrome have blown a lot of things out of proportion. A lot of things. So I would just say pick your battles, and whatever you believe, you believe. If you're sticking with like UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, and the stuff we talk about, you're pretty safe. But the minute you start going into a lot of the other weird stuff, that's where it'll go. So Luna follows up and says, people often view me as a strange figure, even amongst relatives. They think I view into things way too much, and you might. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. You're allowed. You're allowed to study whatever you want. I have friends who like soccer and listen to Coldplay. Drives me nuts. Okay? Friends shouldn't let friends soccer or Coldplay. But they do. They can't control you. Be who you are. And if that's what interests, as long as you can keep control of your rationality, you're fine. Because I find a lot of conspiracy theorists do not keep their rationality very well. And I am that is coming from a conspiracy theorist. Okay. This is fun.
Yeah.
Luna, again, has your family experienced paranormal things and asked for your help or just to talk? Potential to get closer to family and friends because of your expertise of the subject. I am nowhere close to being an expert. I just have a really loud voice and an opinion. I don't talk about these subjects around my friends and family unless they bring them up. Now, if it's Tim, for instance, we'll talk about it. If Tim's in our little friend group that we have here, and if it comes up, we'll talk about it. Normally, it's mostly paranormal stuff. The one thing I can't stand. No, I'm teasing. I love the paranormal. But for most of the time, we just basically don't have that conversation. But then again, I'll be blunt because I'm very honest with my listeners. I don't have a close relationship with my family, not by choice, but by the fact that I don't have the answer for that. Why? I will just say this. A lot of my family members don't like me. They don't. My mom's side of the family does not like me. It's weird. Never done anything to them. They just choose not to like me. Probably because of the subjects I'm into, and they're very religious. That might have something to do with it, but I never bring it up. I never bring it up. So it's just easier that way. And I would say these topics have made me extremely introverted. I know I host a radio show and I talk about this publicly all the time, but on my personal life, I mean, Tim, you've been around me, where all of a sudden we'll be hanging out and then I just disappear.
Yep.
And the reason why I do that is because I just need a break from people. It's the energy, it's the tone, it's a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So my family is not a paranormal family outside of me. So that's kind of where that goes. All right. Hillbilly is asking, Dave, before you were an experiencer, what was your opinion on paranormal supernatural phenomena? I believed in it all. I just wanted to believe. I remember sitting around campfires with my friends saying, I want to see 3 things in life. I want to see a UFO, I want to see a ghost, and I want to see a Bigfoot. Thankfully, I've been able to see all 3. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, same. Exactly the same. My mom was very intuitive, and I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was. I always was into it, and she wanted to push me away from it. My mom was uncanny intuitive, and I'd go and get a book from the library as a little kid, and it'd be about UFOs and stuff like that, and she would not be happy with me reading any of that stuff. But yet, she was the one that could see, one of my best friends growing up passed away and drowned in a lake up here back in 1997, and they couldn't find him for a year. She dreamt where she saw him, and boom, the police went out there, and sure enough, 2 fishermen had gone by, and it was uncanny. So anyway, yeah, she just didn't want anything to do with it, but I loved it. Everybody in my family, my grandfather, everybody was all cool with it, but mom was dead against all of it. So I was like, "Ugh." So you living with her, yeah, there was no privacy anywhere. So if I wasn't home, she'd go through my stuff, find a book about UFO, Sasquatch, any of that stuff, and it'd be gone by the time I got home. So yeah, it was pretty tough trying to follow something that you really were interested in. But yeah, and she kept putting a thumb on me, right? I don't know, just the way it was.
Right. I think that's great. Follow-up question. Was paranormal taboo in the sports journalism world? No.
Mm-mm.
Just never got talked about because we were too busy sorting cliches. We got to take it one day at a time. It's game after game, and we need those 2 points, and those 2 points are. I'll tell you a funny radio story. There was a defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks. His name was Brent Sopel. Great guy. Won a Stanley Cup with Chicago. And he's giving me cliche galore because the players really think that we don't know what we're talking about as media. So they don't want to deal with us. So they just give us the cliches. So he's like, we just got to stick to our system and good things will happen. I said, what's the system, Brent? What do you mean? I said, well, is it a strong side lock? Is it a weak side lock? Is it a 2-man push? Are we going in 1-2-2 system, a 2-1-2 system, a 3-0-2 system? What's the system? And he looked at me and I said, I know hockey. And he kind of just, after that moment, he looked at me and we got along great. We got along great. How did you and Tim come to know each other? And Rob G. Maybe you answered in the past. I'm new to SOR. Tim showed up at my ghost tour one day. Actually, this is a funny story.
It is.
So we're getting ready for our first ghost tour of the year, first or second. And all of a sudden, Tim and his wife, Lorelei, come in. And we're told that they are volunteers helping out with the ghost tour. The problem was the people at the museum didn't tell me or my team that they were joining the ghost tour. And so I was kind of like, who the hell are these people? And within like 5-6 minutes, I figured out that they were really nice. And we just kind of really hit it off. And, we hang out all the time now.
Yeah. That was such a funny night. I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" Your face was like, "Who the heck are you?" Too funny. Yeah, that was good. And Rob, I don't know. I just met Rob through the show, and obviously Dave has a way better story than I do for that.
Oh, man. Rob G was found by Terry Hall. Terry Hall, who's on our Spaced Out Radio team, gentleman with a fantastic mustache.
Yes.
He's the one who really recommended Rob G. We were having some problems with our host at the time, and we were thinking of making a change. And when we had a conversation with Rob was incredible. He just, when you have a list of boxes and he keeps ticking off all of those boxes, you got the right guy. You really do. And Rob does incredible work behind the scenes for Spaced Out Radio. We're really blessed to have him. He's a good interview. He's a quick learner. And it's good to have him back. Tim, it's that time, man, where we got to say good night to all of our radio listeners. Sorry, this was a little bit different. Didn't get to the questions there or the news. I'm having like brain fog tonight. I really am having like brain fog. So that's okay. That's okay. But good to have you with us, my man.
Glad to be here.
You're that guy.
I am.
Appreciate it. As we say hello to Mr. Rocking in the background with you brothers watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in Oregon and cars. Wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat room tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friend,
make a mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the little train has docked for the night. And soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Yeah. If you have any other questions while we're editing, Tim and I will answer them if he wants to hang out.
Yeah, I could hang out for a bit.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay.
PRM, I think, had a question. What is it here? I remember you telling a story about a person asking what happened to your ex-wife or WE. I don't know what WE is. It was a rock star, I think, perhaps involving a ship at sea. Can you tell that again? No, that isn't my story. Not your literal ex-wife, and I'm not talking about you here. I meant a story you were telling that didn't involve you. I have no clue. Now, I have a story involving a rock star. It was my best friend that I had predicted that they were going to meet, and they walked face to face into each other at the Hard Rock Hotel, and he was smitten.
Ooh,
Schmitten. So, Tim,
yes.
what's it like knowing that you suck at what you do?
Well, you know,
You try hard for that sucking, don't you?
I do. I'd like to thank the Academy.
Nice.
That's all good. I just, that's okay. Like I said, I'm glad that you believed in us enough to share your feelings. It's like, whatever. I don't know. Like I say, I think the audience and everybody at SOR here, including all the crew and everybody's just top notch. And you're always, you can't always bite into an apple and always get a right piece. Every once in a while you're gonna get a little bit of dirt, right? So whatever.
Exactly. Does anybody know what pissed T-Bone off last night? Something happened with T-Bone because he literally put a big FUSOR on the chat room. I erased those ones.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I tried actually calling him before the show.
Right.
And I emailed him like, WTF, man? Like, what happened? I honestly don't know.
Oh, that's weird.
I probably said something after the show that pissed him off. That might have been.
Huh.
I don't know. But
yeah, T-Bone. I saw the only time I've ever seen anything not negative. The only time I've ever seen him get upset is I think that maybe us the mods went by and didn't see him and didn't give him a hey good evening or something. And I mean, okay, fair enough, but that's the only thing that I've ever seen him upset about. I I don't read every comment in the chat room, but that's strange because he's one of those top-notch guys, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know. Big supporter.
Not many people have my phone number, and he does.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a good dude.
Yeah. Well, hopefully whatever was bothering him,
Yeah.
lets one of us know or whatever. Yeah. Geez, that's too bad. And that was funny because tonight I got on, and obviously at the beginning of the show, and I was watching on the TV, but going through the chat on my phone, and I was like, "Hey, T-Bone hasn't showed up yet."
Yeah,
kind of weird.
No, I actually tried calling him and I emailed him because I honestly don't know.
Oh,
don't know what pissed him off.
Well, that's too bad. And I mean that nicely. That's too bad.
Yeah. That's okay. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
We'll see.
Not too worried about it. By the way, I'm taking Saturday the 30th off.
Oh, yes. It is the day.
It's the last day, man.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Are you coming? Or are you going to bail on me again?
No, I think we're okay.
All right.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments. No, I know that if it's the last day, you got to do something. Seriously, I have to do something. What did you think? Have you been checking out the little promos?
I have been.
Not bad. Well, I haven't heard anything negative, so okay.
Randolph Guerra or Guerrero? I apologize. I'm not good with a lot of Spanish names. Guerra? I can't see. Hold on.
Guerra?
Oh,
I think it is.
Oh.
Guerra.
JP and Luna, how are you?
Hey.
Hey.
Listening with the kids. Nice.
Listening with the kids. Good. Kids right there saying, hey, Dad, you got to listen to this weird Canadian guy with a bonnet on his head.
Well, that's good. We got kids listening to the show, too. Hello, JP. Hello, Luna.
Exactly.
Right on. Isn't it past your bedtime? Yeah, the kids are like 20 or something. Right?
Yeah, November 30th is the 10th anniversary of SOR, too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's a
I got to
Saturday.
remember that, but I got to rely on Paramarv to do that. Thank you, Paramarv.
And that's the Saturday.
It is.
So what are we going to do on the Friday?
We're going to do the anniversary show.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's on that Friday or the 29th? Wayne and Michelle. Oh, from Michigan U and Paranormal Encounters. I like them.
Cool.
They haven't been on in a couple of years. They're good people.
Sweet.
They're good people. So, Sweet Robbie G has the big show for that, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I might pop on. I don't know. 10 years, man. Holy cow.
Well, yeah, you got to do that.
I might do a special show, like once we get out of the forest,
Mm-hmm.
a special show.
That'd be fun.
That'll be the 10th anniversary since we started on Blog Talk Radio way back in the day.
Blog Talk.
Blog Talk Radio is known for hackers and trolls, and they always denied it. They always denied it that it was happening. But I had my studio taken over probably 15, 20 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, and Blog Talk Radio also used to have phone numbers that you could call in. And so you'd get all the, when it was a popular format, you'd get all the trolls calling in because the one thing you couldn't do was screen your calls.
Oh, no.
So you would get some disgusting phone calls on there.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. And so one time I had enough and I actually called the person back. And they answered. And it was a young kid who was just having fun with his buddies.
Oh.
And I said, well, you know what? I said, I made up this story that my buddy was a cop and he was going to track this phone number. And we were going to tell his parents. Kid was shitting his pants. It was awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome. You remember back in the day on Sports Page, and when they do the live call-ins, and Randorf used to get nailed all the time. It was, I used to love watching it. We'd be down at my dad's place down in downtown Vancouver, and we'd come back from the Lions game or something. We'd be at his apartment, and always Dad'd be like, "Yep, got to put on Sports Page." And it's okay, so we'd be sitting watching Sports Page, and then the live call-in. So, yeah. They did not have the 7-second delay in there for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, our next caller.
I won Sports Page trivia twice.
Did you? Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. And now you're up to date in the world of sports.
Uh-huh. Good old Donnie Taylor.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome.
Let's see here. Any questions for Tim or myself?
They're like, no.
No. They're like, screw you guys. We know enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a couple of clowns. You're one-dimensional, Dave.
I'm one. Oh, what was the comment? Hold on. Let me read.
Oh, really?
Hold on. Dave, stop blaming the audience and algorithms. It's because of the friends that you keep bringing back, such as our Keith Andrews,
I
whose
like
own channel has 50 subs. Also, maybe it's the host. It's funny, though, because I remember him losing his mind once because someone called his shows stories. But here we are. They look to us for stories. We've never changed our focus. We've always been a storytelling show.
Mm-hmm.
On the UFO stuff, you don't know anything new, so you just seem to micro-analyze the smallest bowel movements, and a lot is just Dave's opinion. Well, that's because it's my show. I'm going to have an opinion on that. Then
Not allowed.
after that was the insult at you
Hmm.
and Courtney.
Yeah, Courtney. My
So,
good God.
so I replied, yet you still follow and listen. Appreciate that. Sleep well.
Yeah, Courtney's just like, if I could just be half, not even half, I had even this much of what she's got rolling around up there on all of these topics, man, I would be an encyclopedia. She's phenomenal. I don't know.
Yeah, Courtney, they're all at Seoul this weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was supposed to go down there and meet them.
Uh-huh. And you didn't?
No. I'm still a little wheezy and uncomfortable about asking for time off with the new bosses.
Yeah, I getcha. I getcha.
You know?
No, for sure.
So
Vegas.
Yeah. Dude, talk about something interesting.
Dude.
I just did 3 hours of interesting shit, dude. Like,
come on, dude.
What is your? I'm a size 9 sock. How about you?
Who, me?
Apparently
10.
Vanessa wants to know our sock size.
Size 10.
Yeah, you look like a 10 guy.
Yeah. That's why you can't steal my Eddie Van Halen 5150 shoes.
No. Super Rod. Do you guys dream in French?
Sacre bleu.
Nope.
Nope.
Can't say I ever have.
No. Our cereal boxes, our soup cans, everything is covered in it up here. We don't need to dream it.
Exactly. Unless you're in Quebec, then they force you. The language police will come get you in Quebec if you're not dreaming.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
True story.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite colors, Dave?
I have a P.O. box, yes. My favorite colors are green, blue, and purple.
Oh. Nice.
Yep. Damn it. Now I'm playing stupid games again. Hold on. Gotta do that. And then go here, do that, and paste. Bingo, that worked. How about you, Timmy? What are your favorite? You like a good puce.
Yeah, whatever that is. My favorite, I like red. And it sounds really weird. Remember the BC Lions? I'm talking to Dave because the BC Lions, that steel gray uniform that they had.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, I've got one of the collector's hats behind me. That I love that.
Nice.
Like that. That orange and black, and then that kind of gunmetal steel.
Yeah, that's nice stuff.
Other than that, red is probably one of my favorite colors. Blue's okay. I mean, whatever. But yeah, I'd say red is my top favorite.
Raven Hayes, if you email me at dave@spacedoutradio.com, dave@spacedoutradio.com, I'll answer the second part of that question. Vanessa, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, or Black Sabbath?
Damn. Okay. Well, my heart, and I've retired my shirt the same as Dave has retired his Guns N' Roses shirt. My heart is Black Sabbath. It just all three of those bands I love them to death, but I'd have to go Black Sabbath. I have to, just have to.
I'd go Pink Floyd.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm a
David
big Pink Floyd
Gilmour. The whole band's phenomenal, but David Gilmour just is. Oh my God, his guitar sings. I mean, yeah, they're all good.
I mean, who's better though, Jimmy Page or David Gilmour?
Oh, both again.
They are style-wise, they are apples and oranges.
Exactly. I would say that Jimmy Page is more of a, I'm going to just throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. Like he just doesn't care. Where Gilmour really he just seems to hit every note and makes it sing. He makes his guitar sing. There's no question.
Oh, there's Major League coming back. Kevin Day asks $2,000 for an interview. I've never had to pay him. He does my show and he does a bunch of others for free. So I don't think that's very true. Now, if he's having a speaking engagement publicly and they want him to talk, absolutely pay what you want. I get paid when I go to conferences. Absolutely. We all have fees. My time's not free. So, but as for radio interviews, I've never paid a radio interview. And I don't think Kevin is asking that at all. You might be getting false information there, Lee. I'm not saying that as a shot. I'm just saying that I've never heard him doing that before. And I know people who know Kevin better than I do, and they've never heard something like that before. All right, let's go here. Tony wants to know, what's your thoughts about the blood of cattle being used for interdimensional travel by ET? I would say they're more in it for the steak than the blood. Because cattle are good.
Well, Tony, I don't know.
Super Ron wants to know, does your dog bark with an accent? We don't have accents.
Nope. They just go roof, roof.
Paramarv, how prevalent is French on the western side of Canada? I thought it was mostly Eastern Canada thing. Yes.
It is.
Yes.
But we still...
bilingualism is still pretty large here. In British Columbia, it's becoming very Cantonese.
Yeah.
And what are the other dialects of Chinese language? Cantonese, Mandarin.
Yeah.
Mandarin is big.
Yeah. Especially down in the southern part of the province in Vancouver and some of the outlying areas. It's huge.
And Indo-Canadian languages are getting big too.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Right. But in high school, though, or in elementary school, like my son is learning French now, but in high school is where you get the choices of the different languages that you want to learn. And you know what? I just think that I wish I would have stuck with French, because I think it'd be pretty cool to be bilingual. That's for sure. I mean, you look at Swedish kids and Finnish kids in school, they have to learn 2 other languages.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time they graduate, most are fluent in Swedish, of course, French and English, or Swedish, English, and German.
I was just saying in German for sure.
Yeah. Oh, Lee's on it. Lee, have you not had enough coffee or tea this morning? Because you're back on your grifting thing. Kevin Day isn't grifting. He's a nice man. Okay. I don't know where you get your stuff from, but it's a little too in the closet, man. There's a difference between doing, and I know we've had this conversation before. There's a difference between doing speaking engagements as well, where you are hired and he could have a fee for talking, but he does not have a fee for interviews. And I will even message him and ask him to prove that. And if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. But if it's for a conference and he's charging $2,000, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you do fly tying?
Oh.
No, I don't know how to fly or tie flies.
No.
Do you know how to tie flies?
No, I know people that do it, and it's an art. Oh,
It is
so
an art.
there it is. Sorry. PRM Productions, just above Tim there. That's the story that he was asking about.
Oh, yeah. PRM, you got me confused with somebody else. I don't have a Rob.
It was me.
Oh, is it you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Tim.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
that's okay. The Robert Wagner story. So for anybody that doesn't know about it, I'll tell it again. My friend of mine worked for Vancouver studios. He was a set director and did all the buildings and whatever. So we were, his dad is a huge fan of Robert Wagner. So everything was Robert Wagner. So Richard had said Robert Wagner's in town. They're filming at one of the studios. What's that?
I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Yep. We're going to make his chair move when he's gone.
Good.
We can do it.
All right. Be right back.
All right. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio. I'm your second host. No. So, okay. So Richard, my friend, doing all this stuff down at the studios, and we're hanging out at my place or whatever it was. And he says to his dad, he says, hey, Robert Wagner's in town and he's filming. He says, and I might be able to slide you guys in if you want to meet him. Well, Richard's dad was like, yeah, absolutely. So we go down to the studio, and super cool. And we're getting toured around and stuff like that. And we're standing off to the side of one of these sets, and they're setting lights and cameras and doing test shots and stuff. And so Robert Wagner's there, and so they all kind of take a break, and the lighting guys are trying to get stuff set up. And Richard goes over and says to Robert Wagner, he says, my dad's a huge fan of yours. Could you come on over? He says, and I'd love, he'd love to meet you, and it'd be sure, not a problem. So I'm standing there, and it was nice to meet you and whatever. And so he's focusing on Richard's dad. So Richard's dad is one of those people that once you get to know him for like about 2.5 minutes, he thinks he's your best buddy from 100 years ago. He's personable, but yeah, no filter, and he kind of doesn't really reel himself in. So we're standing there, and he looks at Robert. He goes, I've got to ask you, right? And so Robert Wagner goes, oh, or anything, not a problem. What would you want to know? I kid you not, Richard's dad, whose name is Robert as well, called him Bob, whatever, leans over to Wagner like this and goes, so what really happened to Natalie Wood? And it was like, oh, everybody was like, okay. Richard grabs his dad. I'm like, oh my God, I'm crapping my pants. And Robert Wagner, with all the class, he just looked at him and just gave him a smile and said, you have a great day, and turned and walked away. I was like, absolutely flabbergasted. So yeah, we never got invited back to the studio again, and Richard ripped his dad a new arsehole when he got home. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So that's the story of Robert Wagner, meeting Robert Wagner and being completely embarrassed by my buddy's dad. And what do we got here? Yeah, so there you go, PRM Productions. What else have we got? I'm looking for questions. So yeah, got nothing else there. So anyway, that's what's happening. Dave's gone to the facilities apparently. Yeah, if you've got questions, I got my phone here. I can't control everything that Dave's doing, so I can carry on if you'd like, or if everybody just wants me to shut the F up, I can do that too. So totally up to you. What's this? Yeah. Yeah, true, Vanessa. True. Agreed. I just have so much fun, or so much, sorry, I have so much hurt for most older actors because of the damn abuse. Yep, for sure. For sure. That's it. My brother's on a retired firefighter out of Vancouver and Abbotsford, and he's on that show. I can't remember what it's called. Fire something or other. It's about a bunch of ex-cons and stuff like that that are wildfire fighters and stuff like that. And I've been to with him, I think maybe once or twice, and down there real quick and stuff. But my brother's a consultant on the show and goes and says, "Yeah, that's not real. That no, you got to change that and whatever." So same thing. He says it's brutal. He says it's absolutely brutal the way that people are treated down there. There's a pecking order, and if you're top of the pecking order, you're the number one star, you are treated like gold. And then 2 weeks later, maybe they swap the character around, and another character's got a great role or a great lead. That person that was number one just gets crapped on because they're now number two. It's such a brutal environment. Apparently, it's like so. Yeah, they don't treat their actors very good, and you're just as good as your last scene because once if they yeah, great, and if you're no good after that, then yeah, they just push you off a bridge or fall down an elevator shaft or get run over by a herd of elephants. Yeah, it's brutal.
Herd of elephants.
What? Hey, Tim, one day you should hide in Dave's studio and move the chair on him. We've all tried mentally to move it while we've been sitting watching the show at home or whatever. It's like, come on, he's yes, sir.
Oh yeah, that's the way we do it.
So guess what you need? A Carolina Hurricanes jersey because of the red. Sure.
Dan Guest, how you doing? Good morning to you, Danny. Fellow Commonwealther.
Move a chair when Dave goes on a break.
Oh man. What do you do? The studio light was on today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so weird. Did you see that? I think Polly had mentioned it on the short that we put out with the whistling in the studio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she commented, I think, in the comments on that, obviously, that as soon as the whistle happened, the Bigfoot light went whoop. I watched it and I'm kind of like, it did. It went solid, like and then kind of went back into its blink, 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 blink. Yeah. I never noticed it until she mentioned it. And like I say, it's in the comments of that short. I was like, oh, okay, I got to check that out. And yeah,
weird.
It did look different.
Very weird.
Mm-hmm.
That is weird. Tomorrow night, I got to find a new guest. Teresa Chung was supposed to be our guest, except her husband is very ill. So she's asked to reschedule. So I have to find a guest for tomorrow night. I don't know who we're going to bring in. Commonwealth Andrew, I did read that. That was funny. Thank you for sending that to me. And of course, the shark. Let's see here. Let's see. Cowie Schneider, how you doing? Let's see here. Grifting is people who are lying about their stories to make money. Or over-exaggerating their stories.
Carl.
They knew how rich we really were.
Right.
Yeah.
Get our Keith on tomorrow. That's a good Friday night mind bender.
He comes home once a month.
I know. But he's still cool. I like our Keith.
He didn't fail, Lee. Don't be mean. Kevin Day did not fail. That would be a good. I might steal D for D, though. That would be a good T-shirt. Disclosure for dollars. Yeah.
Still
so
like,
I won't be here Monday night.
Oh.
At least I don't think I will be here Monday night. So you'll be on with Sweet Robbie G.
10-4.
Strickler.
Excellent.
And yeah, I forgot that I need to find a guest for tomorrow night. Damn it. I hate when I do that. Mm-hmm. We'll find someone.
Yeah.
See if Eric Cooper wants to come on. What? Let's see. What do you call a salad with a chicken? Cheese and Caesar salad?
Dad joke.
That's funny.
It is.
I do like that D4D, though.
Mm-hmm.
I may steal that, Lee. I may steal that.
Yeah.
All right, Timmy, we'll see you tomorrow.
You betcha, man.
Or I won't see you tomorrow.
You'll probably hear from me. I'll probably text you something during the day because I'm bored at work.
Yeah. Text me.
All right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night to Vaughn ×2, Richard, Raven, Area 53, Cosmic Joe, Jennifer, Deb Rooney, and Mel WD40 for the super chats. Greatly appreciate that. Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube. How you doing? Moody Mongol, nice to see you. I never got disclosure for dollars from you, Lee. I did not get that. I had learned about that way before I even knew who you were. So no offense, buddy. And by the way, you ask anybody in the UFO community, I was the first asking the why now question. Just to clarify that, Lee. People took it from me because I hashtagged it why now and it went viral in the UFO community on X. So, just for clarification. I know you don't believe anything I say, but that's okay. Just going to put that out there. I love you, though. Later, people. Good night.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.